hitting close to 400 this weekend. The freshman Colin Hall has been in the middle of the barrage.
You're exactly right. 3 for 8 on the series. A home run yesterday that really got this Georgia Tech team going was a part of that huge 5th inning, and the performance that got 20 runs across yesterday. Georgia Tech needed a series win. They've gotten that. Now they're going.
At the Duke batting order, Jimmy Herron at the top. He has extended his streak of reaching base safely to 32 games this weekend, followed by Chris Proctor and the shortstop Zach Cohn. Griffin Conine with the team leading 13 home runs in the cleanup spot. Max Miller follows him, the senior second baseman. Freshman Joey Loper-Fito bats 6th. Jack Lebowski, who we might see out of the bullpen today, bats 7th. Kenny Taylor, who's hit safely in 5 straight games versus the Yellow Jackets, bats 8th. Michael Rothenberg DHs, and he bats 9th. Defensively for the Yellow Jackets, around the outfield, Chase Murray in left, Nick Wilhite in center. Colin Hall is in right. Oscar Serrato's at third base. Austin Wilhite at short. The senior Wade Bailey at second base. Senior day here at Rush Chandler for the Yellow Jackets. Kyle McCann is at first base. Joey Bart will catch. Not a senior, but likely his final game at home. And Brant Herter, the freshman, gets the start. We'll step aside for the playing of our national anthem, give you the numbers on the freshman left-handed Brant Herter, and on to first pitch from Atlanta, Duke and Georgia Tech. 56th and final game of the regular season for Georgia Tech, playing host to number 9 Duke. Georgia Tech at 14-15 in the ACC. Duke has already cinched up second place in the Coastal Division at 17-11. Chris Pollard, his 6th season at Duke, a win today, and the Blue Devils will tie a school record for wins in a season. They've already set a school record for ACC wins. But his team knows it can't afford a slippage here in the series finale. Certainly for a team with aspirations to being an NCAA regional host. And for the Yellow Jackets, led by Danny Hall, his 25th season. Roddy, the Jackets knew they'd painted themselves into a corner down the stretch, trying to get back to the NCAA tournament. Their wins have boosted their RPI back into the upper 40s. Danny Hall knows his team might still have some work to do at the ACC tournament, but he has to like the output of his team through 2 games. 29 runs against a staff that was second in the ACC in ERA.
Well, the plan to get to a regional was twofold. One, you had to win this series. A sweep would be great. And then second, you have to perform in the ACC tournament, win a game, maybe 2, maybe get to that semifinal. They've done the first part, is win the series. Now they just got to continue to build on that momentum. The bats have been hot for Georgia Tech in this series. And you said it, this is a Duke staff that was incredible. Just shows how good Georgia Tech's been at the plate.
Both teams listed their starter as TBA today. The Yellow Jackets go with the freshman left-hander Brant Herter, making his first ACC start since the opening ACC weekend at Clemson. 5-3 with a 5.4 ERA.
He was the Sunday starter until that Clemson start. Maybe the moment a little bit too big. The start was at Clemson, so Tristan English, who had been working himself back from the injury that kept him out all of last year, that Tommy John surgery, took over that third starter spot in ACC play. But Brant Herter has been great during the week for Georgia Tech. In his last outing against Radford, he went 6 innings, did not give up a single earned run, gave up 6 hits. He actually appeared in the late marathon game on Monday against Virginia, where he went 2 innings, gave up 2 earned runs and 3 hits. And this is a situation for Brant where he can start to build his resume going into that ACC tournament, because if Georgia Tech is able to win those first 2 games and get to a semifinal, there'll be a decision by Danny Hall who to put on the mound, Brant Herter or Tristan English. And it's a good one because both of those guys can deal.
And in deciding between Herter and English today, Danny Hall told us Herter a little more rested through 2 innings, allowed 2 earned runs in that series finale versus Virginia on Monday. Here are the ACC standings. North Carolina champions of the Coastal, Clemson champions of the Atlantic, and a fight to the finish between the Tigers and Tar Heels to see who will be the overall regular season champion. Georgia Tech currently 4th in the Coastal Division, but bear in mind they swept Miami. Those 2 teams both competing for an at-large spot in the NCAA tournament, and that series sweep could go a long way for the Yellow Jackets in gaining some separation on the Tar Heels. Duke 17-11 in very good position heading to Durham next weekend. A lot of seeds and still a lot of stakes to be decided on this final day of the regular season. And if you're Chris Pollard, what's the message to your team today? Lost 9-6 on Thursday and then thumped yesterday 20-7. Georgia Tech plating 12 runs in the 5th inning on you.
You really got to flush it. You can almost chalk those 2 losses up to anomalies. Obviously, the rain delay on Thursday pushed that game late. It was a weird-feeling game, so you can flush that one. Yesterday, that's one that you destroy the film to and you just move on.
As the first pitch dips down and into Jimmy Herron. I think another thing that helps this Blue Devil team is the very veteran-laden lineup. Among them, Herron, the junior from Harleysville, Pennsylvania, who's reached safely in 32 straight games. Home plate umpires Thomas Newsom brings up strike 1. Herron 2 for 7 this series. Fly ball into right center. Wilhite on his horse, and he makes the running grab. 1 away.
As we said, this Duke team has not hit the ball poorly in this series. They were able to scrape across a few runs against Connor Thomas, one of the hottest pitchers in the ACC. As you see Nick Wilhite, he just makes it look so easy. The jumps he gets, I mean, that's a long way to run for that ball, and he is one of the best in the conference at patrolling center field.
He has left some indentations in that center field wall this season, throwing his body around. 1 away for Chris Proctor, the catcher. Diving stop in the hole. Wade Bailey from a knee, and he makes it look so routine. 2 outs. That has been a staple in 4 years on the flats, those types of plays from Wade Bailey.
And this is the last time that these Georgia Tech fans are going to get to see Wade Bailey on the flats. So why not treat him to a little something special? That is a great play. As you said, he just makes it look routine, and he does it so often.
His 222nd career start and making the pick on the grass for out number 2. Duke has scored a run in the first inning both games this series. Here's the shortstop, Zach Cohn. 2 for 8 with a pair of RBIs. Fouled away 1-1. In fact, Duke has led 3-0 both games this series. Georgia Tech has used some crooked numbers in the middle innings to pull away.
I would expect that as this game goes on, if Duke gets base runners, for them to put their foot on the accelerator and start to run a little bit.
They get a line drive single by Cohn to extend the first. And that has been a missing ingredient for the Blue Devils this weekend. They're 3rd in the ACC in stolen bases, but because they've been playing from behind and by multiple runs, haven't been able to activate the running game. We'll see if that changes with Cohn aboard. And the cleanup batter, Griffin Conine, up. Conine is a menace. Preseason All-American. Steps in hitting .272, 13 home runs, 43 RBIs. That 13th home run came Thursday in the opener. Watch out. Breaking ball that doesn't break and hits Conine in the back.
You could see what Brant Herter was trying to do there. He's trying to start it at that front shoulder of Conine and have it drop over the plate for a strike, but just got away from him. As he said, it did not break at all, and Conine gets it in the small of the back.
Pair of base runners with 2 outs. And a runner in scoring position. Max Miller, the hitter. First pitch swinging, pops it foul. Duke was 20-3 this year when scoring in the first inning. This weekend, they're 0-2. Big breaking ball for strike 2. Herter's best start of the season came at home versus then number 6 Auburn back on March the 20th. 5 scoreless innings. Scattered 1 hit, struck out 4. And he hits Miller to load him up. Consecutive hit batters, and now all of a sudden Blue Devils have bases loaded.
Yeah, that changed very quickly for Georgia Tech. Herter looked like he was cruising through the first 2 outs. A single and then 2 plunks. That one's the more frustrating of the two. You're ahead 2-0. 0-2. And you try and get an inside fastball that just goes a little too far inside and hits Miller right on the knee.
Bags packed for freshman Joey Loperfido. Still searching for his first hit of the series, 0 for 7, and 1 for his last 18 against ACC pitching. Stares at ball 1 from Herter. Loperfido, though, still averaging .303, which is tops among freshmen in conference. Duke on a 3-game losing streak, which is tied for its longest losing streak of the season. Trying to set the early pace again against the Yellow Jackets. Line foul, 1-2.
And that was a good pitch to hit. Loperfido just missed it. Just a little behind, a little under it, but that one looked really good. Loperfido now going to have to battle with 2 strikes.
Herter the stretch in the pitch. Up the middle and through, a base hit. Cone comes around. See if Conan gets the call. He will. The throw from Wilhite offline. And Duke takes advantage with 2 outs. A 2-run single by Loperfido.
No better way to flush the result from yesterday than to take advantage of some mistakes for Georgia Tech. Joey Loperfido getting his first hit of the series. Just drives this one back up the middle with the bases loaded. It's able to score 2 runs and get Duke ahead once again, just like they've been the past 2 days.
Could be a good thing. Could be a bad thing. We'll see as Jack Lebowski stands in. 4 straight base runners reaching with 2 outs. Both runners off on the pitch. Barnes throw down to third. Serrato's the tag. Safe the call on Miller. Chris Pollard dialing up the aggression as he senses the freshman on the ropes.
And I like it. This is the DNA of this Duke team, is to put pressure on you on the base pass. Brant Herter focusing on getting out of the inning. They take advantage of it by timing up that stolen base. And that was a monster jump at second base by Max Miller.
Put the pair in scoring position for Lebowski, the senior, 2 for 6 this weekend with 2 RBIs. And he's ahead 2-0. As you had alluded to, Roddy, Duke is fared well at the plate in spite of the results this weekend. .333 with runners in scoring position. Hitters count for Lebowski. Trying to keep it rolling for the Blue Devils. 3-0. And this after Herter needed 5 pitches to get the first 2 outs.
That's what you expect good teams to do, though, like Duke. Take advantage of the mistakes of the other team, and they've certainly been doing that early in games in this series.
Groove down the middle, 3-1. Another big bender in for strike 2. We've seen Brent Herter enough, Roddy, that when he has that breaking ball snapping from 6-6, looks like it has snow on it when it comes down.
And he's at his best when he can throw that in any count for a strike.
Payoff pitch. Low and inside. Lebowski doesn't chase. And bases loaded again for the Blue Devils.
Went back to the off-speed pitch. I think went to the well probably one too many times. That one's one where you got to get it across. You want to get out of the inning. You got to challenge Lebowski there and make him beat you rather than giving him the free pass and loading up the bases again.
Pitching coach Jason Howell to pay his freshman a visit.
Brant Herter's had good stuff. Duke just up to the task with runners in scoring position. They actually hit him pretty well. I mean, that first pitch, the first out from Jimmy Herron was a drive to right center field, and it's been finding gloves. They found gloves up until that single, and it was all Brant Herter kind of giving it up. Duke just taking advantage with a hit here, a hit there. See if Kenny Taylor can continue it.
His weekend, 3 for 6, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, and he gets ahead 1 ball, no strikes. Junior out of Tampa, Florida, batting .272 on the year. Almost gets hit himself.
Georgia Tech dugout starting to scramble a little bit. I think we'll see some guys start to make their way down to the bullpen.
Catches the inside corner, 2-1. Two nothing Blue Devils. 3-1. 2 hit batters and a walk for Herter, in addition to 2 base hits allowed with 2 outs.
And it looks like everything that he's missing with is down and into a right-handed hitter. It's like he's kind of snatching across his body a little bit.
Rounded foul, and the count goes full again.
Herter might be fortunate there that Kenny Taylor swung at that. I think that was going to be another one that was going to be inside to the righty, and maybe ball 4, but he's got a second chance. Kenny Taylor helping him out.
Bases loaded in the 3-2. Bouncing ball, Serrato stays back on it. Has to go the long way. Some trouble getting out of his glove, but just in time to retire Taylor and end the damage in the first. Bases loaded, RBI single by the freshman Joey Loperfido sends Duke to an early 2-0 lead. We'll give you the numbers on the sophomore Zach Lasky, Duke starter, coming up. Duke plates a pair in the top of the first. Let's check out the Georgia Tech batting order today. When you score 20 runs, you're not going to mess with the lineup much, and Danny Hall opting for the same guys 1 through 9. Yellow Jackets have the top 3 hitters in the ACC in batting average. They'll all be due up in the first. Wade Bailey third, Chase Murray second, and Joey Bart 371, tops in the ACC. Kyle McCann 4 hits yesterday, batch cleanup. Tristan English DHs today. We might also see him out of the bullpen. Colin Hall, Austin Wilhite, Oscar Serratos, who has 5 hits this series, and Nick Wilhite round out the order. Duke came in this weekend 3rd nationally in fielding percentage. They booted it 6 times. Heron, Taylor, Conine across the outfield. Lebowski's at 3rd. Cohn and Miller, the double play tandem. Loperfido's at 1st. Chris Proctor handles the pitches as catcher. Adam Lasky, the sophomore lefty, with his 14th start for the Blue Devils.
Came in to this year as a highly ranked left-hander, is only a sophomore on the mound from New Jersey. He's going to look for a better start than he had his last time out, where he went 3 2/3, gave up 5 runs, 5 hits, walked 5, and struck out 3 against North Carolina last Sunday. Hasn't won a game since back on April 13th against Florida State. And he is facing one of the best lineups in the ACC. And like you said, there's not a better threesome in the top of the lineup than there are that he's going to face with these 3 guys for Georgia Tech.
Wade Bailey swings away, lofts it foul on the first pitch. And you see, Joey Loperfido had the bases loaded single in the top of the first, but must have tweaked something either on the swing or rounding first. Now Chris Crabtree is in at first base for the Blue Devils. See if we can get an update on Loperfido. Meanwhile, Wade Bailey, all he's done this weekend in his final homestand, 6 for 10 and 4 RBIs. Totes a 10-game hitting streak into the regular season finale. Jump right to Crabtree. You know that first half inning you're in the field, that ball's going to find your glove. But he makes easy work of Bailey.
It's amazing how baseball works like that. Crabtree certainly up to the task. Nice and easy. Got a big hop, though. That's at least one thing that you can ask for. And you see Loperfido, looks like ice on that left hand. Just hope that he's going to be able to recover fast enough. The ACC tournament is coming quick.
1 away now for Chase Murray. Murray 4 RBIs this weekend and a 4 for 9 trip at the plate. Sophomore continues to cement a possible All-ACC sophomore season, behind on Lasky 0-2. Lasky 6-4 this year, Roddy. 5.17 the average. Danny Hall believes he has the best stuff of any of Duke's starters, and now that left hand completely wrapped in ice from Lo Perfido.
That's why he was ranked one of the top college sophomores coming into this season, and at times he has shown it.
Started last year against the Yellow Jackets in Durham. Went 6 innings, allowed 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. He's tried to tame down his free passes of late. His last 7 2/3, he's issued 10 walks. Ahead on Murray, 1-2, as he delivers and gets a soft bouncer to second. Miller up with it, and the flip to first for out number 2.
That was a really good tight slider from Adam Lasky. Had a lot of late break to it. Chase Murray lucky to get a bat on it, but right to Max Miller for an easy out number 2.
No such thing as an easy out when this guy's at the plate. Joey Bartha Jr., semifinalist for the Dick Hauser Trophy, semifinalist for the Johnny Bench Award as the nation's top college catcher. 371, 16 home runs, 38 driven in, and his 16th yesterday, Roddy, was a moonshot.
It absolutely was. And that 16th broke a tie between he and Kyle McCann, who had just tied him the inning before. And he let Kyle know, I think my home run was a little bit further than yours.
Sharp ground ball, but picked on a hop by Lebowski. 1-2-3 go the Jackets in the first. Not easy to go 1-2-3 against the top 3 hitters in average in the ACC. Lasky able to do that. Duke leads 2-0 as we head to the second. Senior day at Russ Chandler Stadium. Before the ball game, the moms and dads of Georgia Tech seniors throughout the ceremonial first pitches. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really cool having those guys. And some of those moms had pretty good arms. Obviously, the dads you expect to, but I saw some fastballs out of those
They
moms.
got some talent on both sides of the family tree. Georgia Tech bidding for a sweep today. They took game 1 9-6 in a game that didn't end until 1:45 in the morning on Thursday. Came back on a short turnaround and exploded for 12 runs in the 5th to win 20-7. Just to put those 20 runs in perspective, the most runs total that Duke has allowed in an ACC series this year was 20 versus Wake Forest. Georgia Tech played at 20 yesterday. Wade Bailey, one of those seniors honored before the game. Duke sent 8 batters to the plate in the first. 2-0 they lead. Here's Michael Rothenberg as Brand Herter tries to settle down. He retired the first 2 batters of the first, Roddy, but then a single, consecutive hit by pitches, a single, and a walk.
With the exception of those first 2 batters, really kind of struggled with his command. Was missing a lot down and in. See if he's able to regain some of that composure. As potent as his offense has been, this Duke team can explode at any moment.
Another breaking ball snapped off for a strike. Rothenberg DHs for his second time today, or second time this weekend, rather. And a sharp single into left center. Herter hung one on 2-2 as Rothenberg makes the hard turnaround first. Leads off the second with a hit.
It's a good job of Michael Rothenberg. The ball was, as you said, hung. It was up in the zone, and he did not miss. That was a screaming liner to left field.
Top of the order in Heron. Flew out to the track in right center his first time. Draft eligible junior. And the conventional wisdom is that he'll be a fairly high round draft pick. He has been terrific all 3 seasons in Durham. And abundant speed as well.
Yeah, the talk around him is likely to move to center field at the next level, kind of projects more there. And will be a fantastic one. You said it, the speed, incredible base stealer, great leadoff hitter.
Taps it off the plate, 1-2. A preseason third-team All-America by Baseball America. Swing and a miss, and down he goes. There's that breaking ball that drops off the table from Herter.
He's been missing too far out of the zone with that breaking ball, or did in the first inning. This one much better. Starts at the middle of the zone, drops out right at the end, crosses just below the knees, and it gets Jimmy Herron, the tough leadoff hitter.
It's not an easy task. Herron has walked more than he's struck out in his career. One away for Proctor as he bangs it in for a base hit. Rothenberg rounds second, on to third. Duke puts him at the corners with one away.
When these Duke hitters are able to connect, it looks like they've got a pretty good beat on Brant Herter. A lot of gap-to-gap drives. This one was no different from Chris Proctor. Lines it into right center field. Rothenberg doing a good job going first to third. Zach Cohn now can increase this lead if he's able to avoid the double play and get the ball in play.
Singleton scored in the first. Blue Devils at 17-11 in the ACC. 38-14 overall, but they have aspirations of being an NCAA regional host, and they know they can't afford a sweep to end the regular season, a 4-game losing streak heading into the conference tournament. Don't want to plant a seed of doubt in that selection committee. And what an accomplishment that would be for the Blue Devils. 2 years ago, they reached the NCAA tournament for the first time in 55 years. 2 short years after that, Chris Pollard has him poised not only to get in, but to potentially host. Herter's 0-1, fouled away. Robert Winborn, Micah Carpenter warming in the Georgia Tech bullpen. It would be the first appearance of the weekend for both of them. And after giving up 2 runs on 4 hits in an inning and a third, Danny Hall not wasting time getting arms warm behind Herter. Chopped foul behind first.
This bullpen is still fairly fresh. In game 1, only Andy Archer came in to pitch after Savion Curry. And then game 2, Jared Daytok pitched 1 inning. And they used 5 different pitchers out of the bullpen, but none threw over 25 pitches.
Swing and a miss. Cohn goes chasing the high hard one, and he goes down on strikes.
Right fielder, number 9, Ruben Cohn.
It's a big miss for Duke. You've got a runner on third base, 1 out. You just need the ball in play. Zach Cohn not able to connect, chasing that ball out of the zone. Now Brant Herter, if he can get maybe the hottest hitter in this Duke lineup, if he can get Griffin Conine out, it'll be a big win for Georgia Tech.
Proctor, as a catcher, does not have the stolen base totals you would expect from someone who mans that position. 11 of 13 this year. See if Chris Pollard tries to take away the force. Deep drive, center field. Wilhite turns his back. He's going to run out of room. That is over the batter's eye. A 3-run bomb by Griffin Conine. His second long ball of the series, and it's now 5-0.
Well, Griffin Conine struggled some out of the gate in what will most likely be his last season as a Duke Blue Devil. But he has come on of late, and in this series he has been fantastic. He absolutely tattoos this ball. See a great swing on a pitch, belt high. Nick Wilhite had no shot as he quickly ran out of room. The ballpark couldn't even hold it with the batter's eye.
Nick Wilhite can climb some walls, but he can't scale a batter's eye. That was a blast by Conan, his 14th of the year. Max Miller follows him and works ahead on Herder 2-0. All 5 of the Blue Devils' runs have been scored with 2 outs. 2 in the first, now 3 in the second. Tape measure shots, nothing new for Conan, by the way. He had a 497-footer against Gardner Webb back on May the 6th.
I don't know who went out there and measured that.
Well, they have the stat tracking software to calculate that. It's 390 to straightaway center of Russ Chandler. So you can do the estimation in your head over the batter's eye in center field.
432.
Thought you'd go with 431.
Well, you know.
Ball fading down the line. Hall runs underneath it. But a 3-run homer by Griffin Conine. Himself looking for all ACC honors. He stretches the Duke lead to 5-0 through an inning and a half. Georgia Tech in an early 5-0 hole. Then again, Roddy, the way Georgia Tech has been swinging the bats this weekend, they could vaporize that deficit quickly. We flash back to yesterday when Georgia Tech tattooed Duke for 12 runs in the 5th inning, propelling them to a 27 win. Everybody contributing. 2 bases loaded clearing doubles, 2 home runs in that inning. Glorious for the Jackets, gory for the Blue Devils. 12 runs on 9 hits. Tech sent 16 to the plate, including a 1.11 straight, and that half inning alone lasted 37 minutes.
Well, Georgia Tech scored 20 runs yesterday, and all of those runs came in 3 innings. They also had a 5-run inning and a 3-run inning. Add that to a 12 spot, and you get 20 runs. Missed the extra point, though, so not really going to say that Danny Hall was talking about special teams between games.
Cal McCann leads off the second. He led off that 5th with a home run. Batted around, collected a single as well. Sophomore from Sewanee checks in at 298, 15 home runs. Lasky's 0-1. Whacked on and missed. Talking with Danny Hall before the game, asking how do you account for such an offensive onslaught against a Duke staff that came in with the 2nd lowest team ERA in the ACC? Says part of the secret has been his guys have been staying deeper on balls and they're not swinging and missing on as many breaking balls as McCann goes down on 3 pitches. Jammed on the fastball for the first out. Tristan English now the hitter. His last at-bat yesterday was a 3-run homer and a little exuberant, shall we say. Admiring his work, which makes you wonder now his first at-bat today, how perhaps might Duke treat him.
He was fired up after that, and my advice is don't throw that pitch. You don't want him to flip the bat, but certainly the unwritten rules of the game, I understand all of that in sportsmanship. No retaliation so far from Duke.
Lasky threw well outside on the first offering. Well outside on the second. So it looks like they're focused squarely on the present against the redshirt sophomore. That home run was his 6th of the year. His first since late March. Tied for the ACC lead in RBIs. And ahead now 3-0.
Tristan English had been a guy that had a little bit of a skid later as we've gotten further into the seasons, average dipped under 300. So I think a lot of that you saw was kind of a release of frustration. You said it had been a while since he hit a home run.
That was a much more tame bat flip there on the walk. And Georgia Tech has its first base runner of the game. That one, I think, much more within the the bounds of etiquette. Having a chat with first base coach Eric Patterson. Colin Hall steps in, the freshman. He's reached safely in 17 straight games to close down his first season. Checked his swing. Ball one on the appeal. Clocked his second home run in the opener Thursday. 283 for the freshman from Alpharetta, Georgia. Chopped to second. Miller, tough pick. Glove flip to second for the force. Relay not in time. 2 outs, but Duke nearly able to turn 2.
Yeah, Miller fielded that weird. It looked like it may have been a little bit of spin on this one. When he had to go down, just not able to get enough on that flip. Ball was beat enough into the ground that Colin Hall had time to beat it out. A great play at second base by Max Miller. Glove flips are tough. He was able to execute it, make it look easy.
2 outs for Austin Wilhite, the sophomore. Had a bases loaded clearing double off the wall in that 12-run fifth yesterday. Blue Devils have gotten around to Georgia Tech starter Brand Herter. Same cannot be said for the Yellow Jackets against Duke starter Adam Lasky. No hits so far as the count moves to 1-1 on Wilhite. Fouled off of Wilhite's foot.
Like he got himself right on that instep. Let's get another look at it. Oh, no, maybe the back toe.
Never pleasant.
Just imagine getting your foot stepped on by an 80-mile-an-hour baseball.
It's not like stubbing your toe on a piece of furniture.
Yeah, although sometimes it feels like the world's going to end when that happens.
That is true. Lasky gets what he wants. And the 1-2 to Wilhite. Runner takes off. It's cut on and missed. Wilhite runs out of bat, and the Jackets out of the second. No runs, no hits. 1 runner stranded. 2 in the books. Smooth sailing through 2 for Adam Lasky with the Blue Devils up 5. Nothing Duke as we head to the third senior day at Russ Chandler Stadium, but it's not lost on anyone. It could also be the last home game for some of these draft-eligible juniors, among them Joey Bard, the preseason All-American, who will, in all likelihood, and in fact all certainty, be a postseason All-American. Tabbed the #1 college catcher by both Baseball America and D1 Baseball, and the mock drafts continue to be updated this week, Roddy. There's some thought now that he might play himself into that #1 pick held by the Detroit Tigers. A lot of buzz around him and the San Francisco Giants at #2. What we do know is that he'll be catching a new pitcher. Brand Herter done after 2 innings. It gives way to the junior Micah Carpenter.
Brand Herter, bit of a struggle through those 2 innings. So it's Micah Carpenter we see, 12th appearance, 2.57 ERA. He's a guy that pitched a ton a year ago, 24 appearances, but has not pitched nearly as much this year for whatever reason. Maybe a little bit of an injury earlier in the season. Georgia Tech has not released anything official, but certainly a guy that as they get further and further into the year, they're going to rely on that experience.
Faces Chris Crabtree, who took over for Loper Fido following his 2 RBI single in the first. Freshman who pinch hit yesterday late in that 20-7 loss. At last check, Loper Fido had his left hand wrapped in ice. And a drive to the opposite field. Chris Crabtree announcing his presence, but it's run down by Murray at the track. One away, but an impressive swing by Crabtree.
First half inning, the ball found him in the field, made a good play, and here he gets a fastball on the outside part of the plate and gives it a ride to left center field. Chase Murray doing a good job of fielding it over his left shoulder.
One away for Lebowski. Walked his first time. He takes a strike on the outside from Carpenter. Have yet to see Lebowski on the mound this series. Duke's all-time saves leader. And you can make the case Lebowski one of the best closers in the country based on pure numbers. Last weekend in a series win versus North Carolina, he allowed his first earned run of the season after going 29 1/3 without yielding an earned run. As often the last guy out of the bullpen, that's impressive stuff.
Especially for a guy that's not just sitting around all day waiting to pitch. He's also hitting and playing third base. Makes it even tougher. Stay in the game mentally and always be ready. Top on the mound.
He has handled both roles well throughout his Duke career. Senior from Clovis, California. He had an 8 RBI game here 2 years ago. Count even. Carpenter fires. Lebowski pops this up. McCann drifts, and that ball bounces inside the railing, but just beyond McCann's reach.
It's tricky over there when you get close to the fence. You see a lot of guys struggle with that because you're having to track a couple of things. Number one, the ball's going over your shoulder, but you see McCann, or just before that replay started, McCann looked down, see how much room he had. He had more than he thought, but you got to navigate carefully or else you'll end up head over heels on the other side.
Swing on the house for Lebowski. This one will stay in. Colin Hall camps underneath it. 2 away.
Center fielder number 15, Kenny Taylor.
Two away for Kenny Taylor, who grounded out to third his first time. He has 8 career home runs, Roddy. 3 have come against the Yellow Jackets, including a pair on Thursday. He doesn't always like to hit home runs, but when he does, he likes to do it against the Jackets.
Yeah, he must have something against Georgia Tech. Or he sees the ball better coming out of the hands of a Yellow Jacket.
And his career high in total bases entering this series was last May versus Georgia Tech. Product of Tampa Jesuit High, alma mater of fairly good former Georgia Tech quarterback George Godsey.
Been a number of players that come through from what is a fantastic athletic school down in Tampa.
Also the alma mater of former Major League manager Lou Piniella. Taylor behind 0-2 on Carpenter, his first inning of relief. Kicks and deals, low outside.
Looked like it caught Joey Bart flush in the stomach. Doing a good job blocking it up. Talk about the stats over Joey Bart's career. His durability is, I think, not talked about enough. Ooh. It's in the lower right quadrant of that abdomen area.
The chest protector, as we learn every game, only protects you so much. Another 1-2. Banged up the middle, man through. Duke has scored all 5 of its runs with 2 outs. And a 2-out base hit keeps the inning alive.
Brant Herter's start to this game started by retiring the first 2 batters of the game, then a single. And that eventually led to 2-run scoring in the top of the first. Micah Carpenter will look to break the similarities there.
It's a swing and a miss from Rothenberg, who singled and scored in the second. 5 runs on 6 hits for the Blue Devils as we play in the third. Taylor 8 for 10 in stolen bases. Rothenberg, a product of the same high school in Boca Raton, Florida, as fellow starters Zach Cohn and Griffin Conine. Swing and a miss, and down he goes on 3 pitches. Micah Carpenter with a clean third, 2.5 complete from Rush Chandler Stadium. It's Duke 5, Georgia Tech nothing. Georgia Tech still searching for his first hit as we move to the bottom of the third. Duke tried to stop a 3-game slide, but it has been a season of trending in the right direction for the Blue Devils. Ranked in the preseason for the first time in school history. They've been ranked 10 consecutive weeks in the Baseball America and AP poll. That was more than they had been ranked in 36 previous years of the poll. And a win today would tie a school record for wins in a season.
I think it's just a testament to this coaching staff and what they've done in their 6 years here. And also these players. I mean, you look at this junior class and the impact that they've had on this program. It has been certainly fantastic. And fortunately for Duke fans, a lot of these guys that are draft eligible aren't going to be returning in a Blue Devil uniform next year.
Oscar Serrato steps in to lead off the Yellow Jacket third, the freshman from Lawrenceville, Georgia. He sends the first offering into center field. Oscar Serrato's now 6 for 10 this series.
And it's gone overshadowed largely because of the explosion at the top of the lineup and the big bombs that we've seen out of Bart, McCann, and English. But Serratos has been fantastic, not only in this game, but in ACC play. He has been on fire.
He came in batting .368 against ACC pitching. That's the highest on the Yellow Jackets. Also Georgia Tech's first hit as Nick Wilhite stands in. He's had an RBI each of the games this series. Takes ball 1 high. It'll be an interesting litmus test for the voters because Serratos has only started 15 of Tech's 30 ACC games. Has he done enough to merit freshman All-ACC honors?
Well, half the coaches, the ones that saw him, are certainly going to say yes. Or maybe the SIDs that do the voting for them. Not all of them, I'm sure.
Serratos draws another throw from Lasky.
Trying to get Nick Wilhite to tip his hand here, whether or not he's going to bunt. Wilhite, a 156 hitter on the season, so if there's a candidate for a sacrifice in this Georgia Tech lineup with nobody out, Nick Wilhite is certainly at the top of that list, but so far has not tipped his hand whether or not he's going to try one.
Snap throw this time. Very close, but Serratos ducks under the tag.
Serratos had a huge lead over at first base. Lasky almost got him, as you said.
Had Serratos been leaning ever so slightly, he would have been dead meat. Is the sacrifice in play when you're down by 5?
I think so. You got to get something going.
Remember, that's Crabtree at first, replacing the injured Joey Loperfido. nursing what appears to be a left-hand injury on his swing in the first inning, and that always makes you grit your teeth because you often think about those hamate bone injuries that hitters suffer on swings. Hope it's nothing more than soreness. Wilhite swings away, sprays it foul.
See, this is the situation where if I'm Nick Wilhite, I really, even if the bunt's not called, I'm thinking about laying one down. Third baseman Lebowski is way back at third.
He had 2 hits in a walk yesterday. Spins away. Did he get clipped? He did.
Looked like he lobbied for that one as well. He told home plate umpire Thomas Newsom, hey, I got hit on the arm. Newsom tended to agree with him. And
Chris Pollard seems unconvinced.
Yeah.
He wants a word with Thomas Newsom.
Well, because Newsom didn't make any sort of movement or any determination. It didn't look like there was any determination until after Nick Wilhite said, hey, that hit me.
Hard to tell from that angle.
I think there is some room. I mean, there was some movement on the jersey, and Nick Wilhite certainly was quick about it, but they're going to replay this. And
well, the call on the field is a hit by pitch, and we'll see if there's enough evidence to overturn that.
I don't see there's any way that gets changed because, and we'll get another look at it when the umpires are viewing it, but watch the ACC on Nick Wilhite's right bicep as the ball goes by. Whether it's wind or the ball, it does move. So I don't think there's going to be anything here to say that it definitively did not hit him. Watch this angle. When the ball goes by, watch that ACC. Now, I don't think there's enough there to know if that's the ball, if that's the wind, if a fly went by.
Does it flap through artificial means?
Exactly.
That is the question here, and you're getting the same replays that our umpiring crew is. Fans enjoying a few extra minutes of sunshine while we check this out. And I can understand Chris Pollard debating the call because Lasky in 71 2/3 innings this year has only hit 3 batters. Beg your pardon, 2 batters. This might be the 3rd. So something he does very infrequently.
I just don't see enough there, Andy, to say that it definitely didn't. Now, this look may be the best one we've got to see if there's any space between the ball and that jersey when it goes by. Let's see if we can see any here. You're going to look for any sort of color or air as the ball goes by Nick Wilhite to say it did not hit him. I just don't think you can say definitively that it didn't graze the shoulder from that angle. Excuse me, the sleeve, not the shoulder, because I don't think he got anywhere close to there. But
and the uniform is considered part of the body. I don't know if there's enough replay evidence to overturn the call, in which case Tech would have runners at first and second, nobody out.
Nick Wilhite.
Yep, call stands.
Nick Wilhite's jersey's a little baggy, and it worked out for him today. The call will stand.
I think it was a good challenge by Chris Pollard because now it's first and second, nobody out in the top of the order up. There's enough evidence to overturn it. You have a 156 hitter at the plate. And with your team protecting a 5-run lead, you don't want to set the table for a rally in the 3rd. Georgia Tech in this 3rd inning, this series, 5 runs on Thursday, by the way. 5 runs yesterday. Wade Bailey stares at strike 1. So this has been a money inning for the Yellow Jackets against the Blue Devils. Bailey grounded out to first, his first at-bat. Rides a 10-game hitting streak. He's reached safely in 25 consecutive. Lasky trying to get him to tip his hand on a potential sacrifice. Line shot through the glove of Lebowski. Has to track back to retrieve it, but everybody's safe. Might have prevented extra bases, but he can't prevent Wade Bailey from reaching, and the Jackets loading the bases.
Prevented extra bases and 2 runs from scoring. That ball gets by Lebowski. It is down into the corner there in left field. Wade Bailey continues his streak of 26 games where he's reached base. Only appropriate on senior day, excuse me. Wade Bailey to be right in the middle of things as he has been his entire career. And the Jackets are going to make a rally. This is a pretty good opportunity. Bases loaded, nobody out. And the second leading hitter in the ACC in terms of average at the plate.
Murray a ground out to second, his first at-bat. Hitting .375 this year with bases loaded, the sophomore from Cincinnati. And the stare down with the sophomore left-hander Lasky. That's a 7th hit for Wade Bailey this weekend. Continuing to challenge the 300 hit plateau, which has only been reached by 3 Yellow Jackets all time. Low and outside, 1-0. Rothenberg, make that Proctor rather, will pay a visit to his left-hander. Knowing that Georgia Tech has benefited from some monster innings this weekend, how much of that might be playing in the backs of these Duke players' minds right now?
Well, I think it's more in the minds of the coaching staff. And I don't think Lasky's on the mound thinking about the innings that Georgia Tech has put up. But this coaching staff certainly knows that Georgia Tech's in a mode right now where if they catch fire, hitting is contagious, and they can absolutely explode, put up a big number on you very quickly.
Here's the 1-0. Inside. It's a long Friday night for Chris Pollard, and an uncharacteristic one. He has counted on his staff. They've been consistent for him all season. Bases loaded, nobody out. Grazes the outside corner, 2-1. Not a popular call at Russ Chandler Stadium, but 2-1 nonetheless.
And you could see the conversation that Chase Murray was having with Thomas Newsom, just asking, is that as far out as it goes? You saw the nod from Newsom saying, yep, it's on the corner, but that's as far as you'll get.
And one drops right in to even the count. Duke leads the ACC in double plays turn should Murray put something in play. Seeking his 5th hit of the series. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. Got him chasing on the slider. And a big first down for Lasky.
Huge first out. That is a tough task. Strike out Chase Murray, and Lasky goes with the slider. What a great slider. Starts in the outside corner at the knees. Breaks down and out. Gets Chase Murray swinging.
Joey Barth, the batter. Ground out to third, his first plate appearance. Might be looking at the next ACC Player of the Year. Can Lasky tame him with bases loaded, but now 1 away? Time called again. Proctor wants to make sure he's on the same page. There is activity in the Duke bullpen. Right-hander Bryce Jarvis has not seen action this weekend. Duke's bullpen had a 1.9 ERA in the ACC this year. Their top arms, aside maybe from Graham Stinson, who appeared on Thursday, haven't been utilized. Haven't seen Jarvis, Ethan DeCaster, Jack Lebowski, their closer. So in spite of being down 0-2 in the series, Chris Pollard probably feels good about what arms he can use out of the pen.
Certainly does, and he employed his catcher Chris Proctor to go out for a mound visit to give the right-hander Jarvis a little more time to warm up. It looks like that's who's going to come out and face Joey Barth.
Georgia Tech has already dipped into its bullpen. Looks like Duke will do the same. 5-0 Blue Devils, but the Jackets threatening. Loaded the bases with nobody out. Lasky Cade Murray. And that'll be the last batter he faces. Duke's bullpen has shut the door all season long. Bryce Jarvis will get the task of facing Joey Bart. We'll tell you his numbers next. 5-0 Duke. Yellow Jackets threatening. Bryce Jarvis gets the ball for the Blue Devils.
The right-handed freshman from Franklin, Tennessee, making his 21st appearance of the season. See that strikeout to walk ratio. He has been fantastic in his first season for the Blue Devils, and he's got a tall task. Bases loaded, 1 out, and Joey Bart, semifinalist for the Dick Hauser Trophy, at the plate. It's about the biggest situation as a freshman can step into with a 5-run lead. But Jarvis has been up to the task. His last outing was against Liberty a little over a week ago, where he went an inning and a third, gave up 1 hit, struck out 2.
Only 1 hit allowed over his last 4 1/3 innings. Son of former Major League pitcher Kevin Jarvis. Lasky got the punch out of Murray, but Strands leaves the bases loaded as he exits. Duke played at 2 in the second, 3 in the third on the Conine home run.
And I think the Duke team, this change is really not on Adam Lasky as much as it is the situation. I mean, Georgia Tech has exploded for big innings. You got the bases loaded, Joey Bart up, Duke needing a win in this series. You know, if this series is 2-0 the other way, I don't think this switch is made, but here Duke pulling out all the stops to try and keep Georgia Tech from exploding for another big inning and coming back in this game.
Bart is 3 for 9 this series. Has an 11-game hitting streak, and as we told you, ground out to third his first at-bat. Serrato's hit third, Wilhite at second, Bailey at first. And the first offering from Jarvis brushes the inside corner.
Jarvis actually missed a spot a little bit on that one, but still ended up being a good pitch right on the black on the inside corner.
Swing and a miss. Quickly, 0-2. Jarvis going right at Bart.
And that's what you have to do. You can't dance around and try and rely on Joey Bart to make mistakes. You got to go after him and challenge one of the best hitters in the country.
Gets a sign from Proctor. And the 0-2. Bart hangs in. Another 0-2. Almost hits him. Whistled over the top of the batting helmet. Bit of an overcooked fastball by Jarvis, gearing up on 0-2.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe trying to blow it by Joey Bart. That one just got away from him a little too much, and now Chris Proctor is going to head out to the mound and talk with his pitcher.
And this has turned into a laborious at-bat. You had Proctor first pay a visit to Lasky, which stalled for Chris Potter to come out, make the pitching change. Had a lengthy conversation with Jarvis before he began his warm-up tosses. Now another visit, but boy, you can never be too careful given the circumstance and given who's at the plate. The stretch in the 1-2. Low outside. Good block by Proctor.
Excellent block got out there, got his chest in front of it, knocked the ball down, kept it in front of him. That was not an easy routine block, but a good one by the catcher. Watch how far he has to go. Get his chest in front of it, almost the edge of the other batter's box.
Duke leading, Georgia Tech threatening as we play in the bottom of the third of this regular season finale. Jack is looking to sweep. Devils looking to salvage. The break even from Jarvis is cut on and missed. If any nerves are coursing through the freshman, he didn't show it there. He rings up Barr for the second out.
They're throwing fastball after fastball, and the slider down and out, and then goes with it here on the inside corner. Joey Barr just ahead of it. Not able to connect. Now Kyle McCann is all that's standing between Bryce Jarvis and the dugout. He's 1 out away from getting out of this inning.
In the third inning yesterday, McCann, on the 11th pitch of his at-bat, delivered a 2 RBI single with bases loaded. He's got 3 grand slams this year, and he starts behind 0-1. This is the third time McCann has stepped in against the Blue Devils with bases loaded this weekend. Off the plate, 1-1.
Ooh, that one did not miss by much. Bryce Jarvis has been on top of it since he came out in this game. Threw the changeup on the outside corner to start the at-bat. That fastball, again, just barely missed the black.
Dips low, 2-1.
Excellent plate discipline by Kyle McCann. The ball certainly looked like a strike out of the hand of Bryce Jarvis, but dropped down low, maybe a little bit outside as well. Able to hold off.
Wind is blowing to right for the left-handed hitting McCann. 15 home runs, 43 driven in for the sophomore. Can he cash in with bases loaded following the Murray and Bart strikeouts? Swings and serves it into right, and it'll drop for a base hit. Comes through again. Second runner coming around. He'll score. 5-2 now. Kyle McCann, though, coming through with 2 outs. He has been Mr. Automatic with bases loaded this year.
He certainly has been, and does it here again. When this is hit off the bat, Griffin Conine in right field kind of gets caught in between. Decides to not go for it, field it on a hop. Georgia Tech able to get 2 runs across and cut this deficit down to 3. I think that's a good play by Conine. If he dives for it, it's high reward. If you make it, you get out of the inning. But if you don't, then another run scores and you have a runner in scoring position with 2 outs.
At the corners, 2 away for English. Out in front, 0-1. Kyle McCann now 5 for his last 7 and 5 RBIs. English walked his first time. Ground ball. Lebowski goes the short route, and it ends the Georgia Tech third. Had bases loaded, nobody out. Strikeouts to Murray and Barr, but Kyle McCann doesn't let the Blue Devils off the hook. Diggs Jarvis for a 2-run single. Tech on the board. Duke, though, still in front. Georgia Tech gets its first 2 runs and a Kyle McCann single with bases loaded, 2 outs. We head to the fourth. Duke on top 5-2. Both teams have players dotting several preseason award watch lists. Chris Proctor on the Johnny Bench preseason watch list award. Zach Cohn, Brooks Wallace Award watch list. And now Joey Bart, not only a semifinalist for the Dick Hauser Trophy, earlier this week named a semifinalist for the Johnny Bench Award. Second straight year, he's made the semifinalist cut for the nation's top college catcher.
got to think he's got a pretty good shot to win that one this year, as he has had a fantastic year, and will certainly enjoy the fruits of those labors fairly shortly when the MLB draft starts. But, I mean, you saw those 3 guys on Duke's team that are on preseason award watch lists. Jimmy Herron, part of that incredible junior class that has been so important to this Duke program. And he's certainly going to be missed if he decides to take his talents to the next level.
Takes a fastball at the knees, strike 1 from Carpenter. Herron is 0 for 2. Trying to extend his streak of reaching base safely to 33 games. And he'll do just that. Ropes it past Serratos and down the line. Makes the turn through first, and he leads off the Duke 4th with the double.
Catcher number 23, Chris Proctor.
There's no doubt off the bat that he was going to go for 2 on this one. Chase Murray actually does a good job of getting over to it and cutting it off before it gets to the fence, but Herron with great speed motoring into second base.
His second double of the series.
Micah Carpenter needs to be aware. Jimmy Herron has reached base in 34 straight games, but he has 21 stolen bases on the season as well. Certainly will not be afraid to run if the opportunity presents itself.
A sign of a bunt from Chris Proctor, who takes ball 1. Yeah, the straight steal could be in play as much as the sacrifice. Proctor singled and scored in the second. See a look at his series totals. Ground ball to first. It'll be an out, but a productive one. Herron charges into third, 1 away.
It's exactly what you want your 2-hole hitter to do. Leadoff man on first. You hit the ball to the right side of the infield and move the runner over. It's going to bring the Georgia Tech infield in. Try and get that out at home. Prevent that run from scoring and extending this lead.
Zach Cohn 1 for 2. Chops it off the plate, a foul. Junior out of Boca Raton, Florida. He has set career highs in doubles, triples, and home runs this year. "5-2 Blue Devils, top of the 4th. Carpenter fires, and it serves softly into right. A base hit and an RBI for Cohn.
For Zach Cohn, that's all you have to do is get the ball to the outfield. It doesn't need to be hit well, and if Wade Bailey's playing at his normal depth, this is most certainly an out. But with the infield drawn in, just get it over their heads and score a run.
RBI number 33 for the junior, and it's now 6-2 Blue Devils. Griffin Conine launched one over the batter's eye in center, his last at-bat for a 3-run homer. First time he confronts Micah Carpenter, who spikes one in the dirt, ball 1. Home run was Conine's second of the series, 14th of the year. Son of the former Major League All-Star Jeff Conine. Big cut off the plate. Conine, the first Blue Devil to hit 10 or more home runs in back-to-back seasons since 2009. 27 in the career of the junior. He's had 2 home runs this series and 1 dance-off during a rain delay back on Thursday. Low and inside, 2-2.
He actually initiated the dance-off, and I got to tell you, I think he won it too.
Will Shira was his foil from Georgia Tech.
Shira put up a good fight, but Conine's moves, he had all the most recent dance moves incorporated in there. I think. I don't know.
Whacks it off the plate again to stay alive. That rain delay lasted 2 hours and 10 minutes. So you can understand some guys needing to get some energy out.
Actually surprised it didn't last longer. It was only those two guys that went. Thought a full-on dance war was going to break out. West Side Story right here at Georgia Tech.
I can't say I'm on top of all the latest dance crazes, but as I understand, that was the Block Boy. He was dueling with the Shiro over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just look it up.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to believe you.
Another snap throw to first. Try to keep Cone close. Blue Devils trying to end the regular season with a win and salvage a game this series. Off the end of the bat and punched foul.
Get a look at where that ball ended up.
Look at all the balls that have been collected over there on the overhang during the season.
I guess after the year, somebody goes up there and gets those.
I hope they have some kind of restraint device when they do that. It's like cleaning your gutters.
Exactly.
Count goes full.
There's got to be.
Look at that.
100?
What they got to do
more?
at the end of the year is have a raffle and have people like, how many jelly beans you have in the
that's
jar,
a good
how
idea.
many baseballs you have collected there on the roof over the third base side. Winning entry gets,
Free
I don't know,
tickets.
season tickets.
Yeah, there you go.
Conine for the series has done some damage. Has a runner on first, one away. Carpenter's set runner goes off on the pitch and is lifted deep into right. A haul at the track, at the wall, and it's another home run for Griffin Conine. Second of the day to make it 8-2 Blue Devils.
That swing was a little more awkward than the one he took on the first home run, but the result the same. Barrels it up. Watch him bring his hands in. And he absolutely crushes this. It's a lot higher, a little further over towards right, and Griffin Conine's having himself a day.
2 for 2, 5 RBIs already in the fourth. 8-2 Blue Devils. Carpenter tries to shake that off, deals strike one to Miller. Out in front of this, lofts it into left center, 2 away. So Conine joins Kenny Taylor's Blue Devils, who have had multi-home run games against the Yellow Jackets. Taylor did his in the loss Thursday. Ball one to Crabtree.
Coach Pollitt's certainly going to be happy with the performance of his team, the ability to rebound. Griffin Conine, a big reason why. It's 2 big home runs, but also on the other side, some timely pitching as both Chase Murray and Kyle and Joey Bart, struck out with the bases loaded at the top of the inning. Only giving up 2 runs on that Kyle McCann single. That's a big win for Duke. They're able to respond and get those 2 runs back plus more.
Off the plate, 2-1. Crabtree had 10 official at-bats entering today. Flew out to the left his first at-bat, taking the place of Loperfido, who was removed in the first inning. suffering what appeared to be a hand injury on his swing, which ended up being a good one, a 2 RBI single. They know how instrumental that freshman is to Duke's lineup, leads them in average on base and slugging. And you want to take every precaution you can. We have the postseason right around the corner. Flared into left. Will hide out from short. Pulls it in. Ends the Blue Devil fourth. But Griffin Conine continues to tear up the Yellow Jackets. Had a 3-run shot in the second. This time, 2 runs to right. 8-2 Blue Devils. 8-9-0 for the Blue Devils. 2-3-0 for the Yellow Jackets as we move to the bottom of the fourth. ACC RPI ranks look like this. 5 teams in the RPI top 20. This was entering the weekend. Georgia Tech 54th, but on the strength of those 2 wins over the RPI 15 Blue Devils, that has shot up inside the 50s into the high 40s now. And Georgia Tech basically knew, Roddy, unless they won the ACC tournament, their postseason hopes might go up in smoke if they didn't at least win the series versus Duke. They've already accomplished that. To gain the sweep, though, they've got their work cut out down 8-2.
Yeah,
with Colin Hall leading off the
They're
court.
going to have to dig out of a big hole, Andy. And you mentioned the RPI. It's amazing those wins, those quality wins against ranked opponents, how much they can help you. And fortunately for Georgia Tech and their postseason hopes, they're going to have an opportunity, obviously here in the rest of this game, but also in the ACC tournament to continue to build that resume. But a solid foundation set to try and help build off of after winning the first 2.
Hall drives one into right center, base hit. Hall will try to break for second. The throw is rainbowed in. Does he overslide the bag? He might have, but he just gets that hand back on before the tag could be applied. Leadoff double for Colin Hall.
And they're going to ask, you saw the Duke players, Max Miller, Zach Cohn, turn immediately to the dugout. Go to Chris Pollard and see if he will challenge this. Cohn felt like he got that tag down before Hall was able to get his hand back to the bag. I like Hall being aggressive, though, going for 2. We'll get the benefit of replay before they do, as they're going to make their way over and take a look at this thing.
Off the bat, it didn't look like it might be a double, but it split right between Taylor and Conine. Hall never broke stride.
I think we're going to get a really good look of this. This will be a definitive look when we see it again. If we can slow it down a little bit, that'll tell us. I think you're going to have we have a great shot of it. Now it's just a question whether or not Colin Hall's hand was able to get back. There is the slide. The tag applied on the helmet, and it's on there before the hand gets back. The Duke players were exactly right.
Zach Cohn over the second base bag for the Blue Devils. Get another look at it here.
Watch, the tag is applied. Hands off the bag here. Tag hits the helmet.
Yep.
Hand not back.
I think you're right. I think Chris Pollard might get what he wants here.
And his players were so adamant about it when the play happened and that safe call was made. Good for him to listen to his guys. Max Miller in particular, the second baseman, jumped up right away and said, hey, we need to challenge this. That was just another look. It's going to confirm what we already think.
Evidence has to be conclusive, but based on the replay angles we've gotten, that's about as close to conclusive as you can get.
That's the danger of those slides where you go outside the bag. Obviously, you're trying to slide away from the tag as Colin Hall. When you're not going straight into the bag, it's a little bit tougher to stop that momentum. There's less of you that's going to hit the bag to be able to stop it.
And he is out. What we thought. Instead of a man on second, nobody out. Colin Hall out on the tag. One away.
And I don't think Danny Hall is upset at that at all. And this guy's being aggressive. He's safe on the initial play. Just overslid the bag, and tough break for the Jackets.
One away for Wilhite. Struck out to end the second. Swing and a miss to level the count. Wilhite had a bases-loaded clearing double yesterday as part of that 12-run fifth. He had gone over his previous 15. It's quite a way to bust out of a slump. Another changeup fools him from Jarvis.
Yeah, and that double was almost a home run. It hit off the top of the wall out there in right center field. You're exactly right. That'll make you feel a lot better when you've been struggling at the plate.
Swing and a miss, rifled it right by him. 2 away into second punch out for Jarvis.
I've been really impressed with Bryce Jarvis since he's come into this game. That fastball is a good one on the inside part of the plate. Wilhite not able to catch up, but the exception of the single by Kyle McCann, he has been really good against the Jackets. Colin Hall obviously putting the bat on it well as well, but he's shown great stuff. Showed poise at that last inning, especially after giving up that single with the bases loaded.
Oscar Serrato singled in the third inning. Scored on that McCann single. Checks his swing. Appealed to first, and he did go, said Chris Ward. Another ball with some bite away from the right-hander. And the freshman behind 0-2. Blue Devils played 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 3 more in the top of the fourth. Georgia Tech 11-3 at home this year in the ACC. Another 1-2. That's in the dirt. And the 2-2 is waved on and missed by Serratos. 1-2-3 inning for Jarvis. Helped along by an overturned double from Colin Hall. No runs across for the Yellow Jackets. We'll go to the fifth. 8-2 Duke. 8-2 Blue Devils as we move to the fifth. And there is a Duke connection in the Georgia Tech dugout in the front of your screen. Freshman pitcher Joseph Manley. He is the nephew of former Duke offensive lineman, longtime Chicago Bears long snapper Patrick Manley. That goatee alone belongs in Canton.
Oh, and the hair, too. That's good stuff right there. Long snappers can have long careers, and Patrick Manley certainly did.
Started the Duke offensive line 93-97. at one point, the last remaining active NFL players from the 1998 draft class were Patrick Mannelly, Peyton Manning, and Charles Woodson. New pitcher for the Yellow Jackets, that's Jake Lee, who got the start on Tuesday versus Southeast Missouri State.
Yeah, in that start, went 2 innings. Did not give up an earned run, only 1 hit. What was declared a staff day. We knew we were going to see a lot of guys against Southeast Missouri State. But you see the stats on the year. That ERA a little inflated. Had a couple of big outings where he gave up 7 runs in his first outing against UConn, gave up 5 runs in his second outing against Dartmouth, but since then has not given up more than 2 in any appearance and has not given up a run in his last 3.
He'll face Jack Lebowski to lead off the Blue Devil 5th. One last note about Patrick Mannelly, uncle of Georgia Tech pitcher Joseph Mannelly. He is married to the daughter of Tommy John. So Tommy John's daughter is Joseph Mannelly's aunt, which I don't know, might make me a little uneasy knowing I'm a pitcher.
That's quite the connection. I agree with you. I'm not sure I'd want to be anywhere near Tommy John if I was a pitcher. Although Tommy John kind of got the short end of the stick with that because everybody only knows him for the surgery now. When all he did was have the procedure done.
He was the one who pioneered the procedure being operated on. But yeah, he had a great career, which unfortunately has been reduced to a footnote as that slider misses outside, 2-1 to Lebowski.
Although it's kind of one of those things. Would you rather no one know your name and those that do remember your career, or everyone know your name but nobody remembers your career?
Now sharply foul, 2-2. And it's a major injury still, but I think with the advances in Tommy John procedures, there's less of a stigma about it. You can still come back after the surgery and be just as sharp as you were pre-surgery.
And a lot of guys are sharper. I mean, we've seen over the years people come back from Tommy John and throw harder, feel better. And you see guys now having Tommy John before the surgery is absolutely needed. It's almost a preventative measure, exactly. So it's incredible, just the advances. I mean, you think about when Tommy John played, that was a procedure that was a roll of the dice, kind of like an ACL procedure or an Achilles procedure.
Strike 3 looking to Lebowski. That was thrown right at him by Lee. But he gets rung up by Thomas Newsom for the first out.
Right at him, and it looked like it stayed a little bit in, but Thomas Newsom might have been a little bit up. So I think Lebowski was unhappy with that. He's got a little bit of a gripe there. I tend to agree with him, but Thomas Newsom did not agree with either one of us.
Here's Taylor. That's over but up, 1-0.
That was a very similar pitch, actually more over the plate, but similar in height. No one called a ball.
Big hack by Taylor. Comes up empty, 1-1. This Duke team has the bullpen, they have the defense, and they have the offensive balance. Some pop in the middle of the order with Conine to make them well armored for the postseason. Aiming for their first 40-win season ever, a swing and a miss, and Taylor's bat goes flying. Bit of humidity creeping into the air in Atlanta. Might have caused some slippage there on the follow-through.
He's going to need some pine tar for that bat.
Oh, yeah, he's going to rub down that handle.
Didn't rub it down as much as I thought. Got a little bit of pine tar on there.
That ever happened to you? Bat flies out of your hand?
Yeah, I think it happens to everybody at some point in time. I wasn't one of these guys. It happens a lot when you get the guys with the big follow-throughs that let go with one hand. I wasn't one of those guys. It was kind of a drop the bat quick and get out of the box. But it's embarrassing, I'll tell you that. You got to go pick up your bat.
The bat stays in Taylor's hands. Skies this into right. Hall battling the sunshine. Sixth glove up, makes the grab. 2 outs.
Batting number 13, Michael Rothenberg.
Two away for Rothenberg, who struck out and singled. Good day to be a Duke Blue Devil. Good day to be a Duke of Sussex, huh? Royal wedding earlier. I know you were watching with rapt attention at 6 this morning.
Oh, absolutely. It actually didn't start until 7:30. Coverage started that early. But with an 8-month-old at home that wakes up at the crack of dawn every day, got to see the latest Duke be titled, I guess. Married, certainly, but not his title.
What title did you get when you got married?
Husband? I guess it's not quite as much pomp and circumstance.
I guess not, yeah.
Mine. Nobody does pomp and circumstance like the English.
Windsor Castle was reserved that weekend.
Yeah.
Had to go elsewhere.
I'll tell you what, man.
Rothenberg hangs in, bangs it off his hands. Might have ricocheted sharply and awkwardly off of Bart. And Rothenberg asking if he's okay.
I'm disappointed you didn't get up and watch. Thought you'd be a big fan of the Royals.
Given recent life circumstances, not so much.
The Kansas City Royals only.
That's true, yeah.
That foul ball caught Joey Bart right in the chest. May have knocked the wind out of him a little bit.
Lofted down the left field line. Murray positioned well. 1-2-3 for Jake Lee. Halfway home now from Russ Chandler Stadium. Regular season finale for the Blue Devils and Yellow Jackets. And it's Duke up 8-2. 8-2 Duke, bottom of the 5th in Atlanta. Jack Lebowski, all-time saves leader at the Blue Devils, in addition to playing a nice third base. He's been a two-way maven for Chris Pollard throughout his career. On the John Olerud two-way player of the year watch list, top 25 in program history in several different offensive categories, in addition to holding the program's career saves record.
Yeah, around campus they call him the Big Lebowski.
1 earned run allowed in 19 relief appearances for an ERA of .30.
What a career he has had. To be that proficient on the mound and at the plate, just the concentration that it takes, the mentality. And we're seeing it creep into the Major League game some more, so maybe Lebowski will get a chance to do both at the next level.
Nick Wilhite starts off Georgia Tech 5th. And outside, 2-1.
Georgia Tech has certainly had quite a few big innings in this series, but you can't always count on that. And if you're going to come back from a 6-run deficit this late in the game, you're going to start to have to chip away. Run here, run there. They've had some situations where haven't quite been able to take advantage. Had a bases loaded, nobody out situation. Did scratch across 2 runs, but I think Georgia Tech would have liked a lot more.
They plated 12 in the 5th yesterday. 3-1 grounded to Lebowski. Makes the scoop and the sling, one away. Last night it was the 5th inning that would never end for the Blue Devils. Not only did they give up 12 runs in the 5th inning, in 5 of their ACC series this year, Roddy, they had only allowed 12 runs total or fewer. That's how anomalous that 5th inning was.
If you're a Georgia Tech fan that has only watched this series of Duke baseball, you have not gotten an accurate depiction of how this team has been so successful. They've done it with pitching and defense. 4 errors on Friday. The pitching let them down yesterday as Georgia Tech had a huge inning. Sometimes your bad day is the other team's great day. And when those two things meet, it's not a very pleasant experience for one team.
Wade Bailey has now made it a pleasant experience for Blue Devil pitching. 1 for 2 today. For the series, 7 for 12. And his final Yellow Jacket homestand. Pops this up down the line. Conine measures it. 2 away.
Left fielder number 10, Chase Murray.
Jarvis has come in and dealt. He's given up 2 hits. He's struck out 3. He's taken care of the first 2 Jacket batters in the 5th. It's a swing and a miss from Murray, who's 0 for 2.
Really good off-speed pitch to start the at-bat from Bryce Jarvis. Mentioned the fact that he has dealt. He has not been afraid of any of these hitters. He has challenged up and down this Georgia Tech lineup.
And getting ahead. 0-2 now to Murray.
Incredible poise throughout this year from a guy who's just a freshman. Could be in part of the next wave of great Blue Devils. Just like this junior class has been. He'll look to continue that success for another few years.
Overcooks the fastball, 1-2. Chris Pollard will have some spots to fill in his weekend rotation next year. Here, his seniors got the start in games 1 and 2. Mitch Stallings, Ryan Day.
Yeah, and I think Jarvis will be in that conversation. You know, if he's a guy that he is a guy that can stretch it out a little bit from time to time, so he will certainly be considered for one of those spots.
Another one he buries at Murray's feet. Swung on and missed. 1-2-3 go the Yellow Jackets in the 5th. 8-2 Blue Devils hoping to avoid the sweep. On their way as we head to the 6th. Duke has benefited from some crooked numbers in the early innings. 8-2, they lead Georgia Tech as we move to the 6th inning. ACC standings on the final day of the regular season. Duke has parked itself into 2nd place in the Coastal Division. North Carolina has clinched that side of the division. Clemson has clinched the Atlantic Division. Georgia Tech has already cemented the seed for the ACC tournament. They will be the 8th seed. And trying to pull an even 500 in conference play to close out the season.
Being the 8th seed, I believe that means they'll get matched up with the number 1 seed in pool plays. It's 1, 8, and 12.
Which, if Pittsburgh does not beat Clemson in the finale today, would be the Panthers. Or could be, I beg your pardon, it would be Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. So there will be an opportunity to take on either, I believe that would be Clemson with the number 1 seed if they win, correct? Because of overall record. So Clemson be in there, and certainly getting out of that pool is going to be a tough one. But if the Jackets are able to do it, then it'll continue to boost that resume.
Lee pounds a strike to Jimmy Herron to lead off the Blue Devils 6th. Herron doubled and scored his last at-bat. It's off of Bart's glove, trickles away, ball 1. Lee started versus Duke last year in Durham, in fact, went the distance. which was the first complete game twirled by a Georgia Tech pitcher since 2013. Kind of puts into perspective what Connor Thomas has done, their pitcher yesterday, who's thrown 3 complete games in conference, including last weekend versus Virginia, which earned him ACC Pitcher of the Week honors.
I think the thing that surprised Tech fans the most, or maybe pleased Tech fans the most, is that was on the road. Georgia Tech has been a much different team away from Rush Chandler Stadium, and if they're able to get some of that pitching to travel up to the ACC tournament, then they're going to have a shot to compete with teams like Clemson, like Duke, that have great pitching as well.
3-1 on the way. This is in tight. Leadoff walk for Heron. Both Jimmy Heron, Wade Bailey extended their streaks of reaching base safely today. Heron to 33, Bailey to 26. And that kind of consistency, no surprise. Chris Pollard, Danny Hall, both insert them at the top of the order. There's Chris Proctor, 1 for 3. Blue Devils, incidentally, Roddy, went 1-2-3 in the 5th off of Jake Lee, and that was the first time they had gone down in order since the 5th inning on Thursday. Snapped a streak of 17 consecutive innings in which they had a base runner. You hear that, you're thinking, boy, this team is in line for a sweep.
Exactly.
They're trying to avoid one.
It's just, that's how baseball works sometimes, though. And I mean, Duke has not been poor at the plate.
Bounced to Wilhite, sidearms to Bailey, off balance throw to McCann, double play. Wade Bailey flashing the arm on the off balance throw to complete the 6-4-3.
Well, Wade Bailey was played over in the hole so far. He had a long run to get over to second base. This is going to be challenged as Bailey makes the throw. Ooh, I'm not sure about that one. I think Duke may have a legitimate concern about that call. Proctor may have beat that out.
Chris Pollard has already made 2 challenges today. One was upheld, one was overturned. Umpires will confirm at the request of the 6th-year Duke head coach.
So my one issue with the replay is that the umpires have to come together and talk about it first.
Just feel like it's an unnecessary step.
It's an unnecessary step. Now, maybe they're deciding whether or not it can happen, or Danny Hall just came out to motion something to the umpires, and now another conversation with Chris Pollard.
At least it's a nice day for baseball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how about that? We've after 2+ hour weather delay on Thursday, we've had great weather, and here's another look.
They are not going to review this, by the way. So the double play holds up. Yeah, it looks like Proctor beat it out. Maybe the umpires are just tired of going to the review.
Potentially, and everyone's still kind of learning how this works. But if the umpires are sure, maybe they can decline the offer. Is there a limit on the number of reviews you can have? That's a possibility as well.
This is the first year that the ACC has implemented its review policy for conference games only. Zach Cohn stands in. Count evens at 1. Cohn 2 for 3 with an RBI. Chris Pollard has shown he's not afraid to challenge a call any point in the game, any time of the night. Review he initiated in Game 1 took place at 12:43 in the morning, with his team trailing by 3 runs in the top of the 9th, and that's when he called for review. As long as the cameras are operating, you have that ability, and trying to ignite a rally, you can understand his desire to have a review even at such late an hour. Blasted into the gap. Cone will notch his third hit as Wilhite has to chase it to the wall. Two out double for Cone. On a 10th hit of the day for the Blue Devils.
Duke continues to hit parade. That makes that call huge. I mean, Proctor would have scored from first base on that, and Duke certainly would have won the challenge had it been allowed and attacked another one on the board, but Cone's still doing his part.
Now the inning continues and demands a board for Griffin Conine. First time he faces the right-hander Lee. His last two at-bats, a 3-run homer in the second and a 2-run homer in the fourth. They will intentionally walk Conine for precisely those two reasons. Man on deck, Max Miller has the average 280, but not the power, only one home run. Danny Hall and company preferring to take their chances with the senior Miller.
And Griffin Conine got hit by a pitch in his first at-bat, came around to score. The 2 homers came around to score, so Georgia Tech will have to break a streak of Griffin Conine reaching base and then coming around. To score.
For precisely those two reasons. Man on deck, Max Miller has the average 280, but not the power, only one home run. Danny Hall and company preferring to take their chances with the senior Miller.
And Griffin Conine got hit by a pitch in his first at-bat, came around to score. The 2 homers came around to score, so Georgia Tech will have to break a streak of Griffin Conine reaching base and then coming around to score. They're going to get out of this inning unscathed.
Miller's 0 for 2. Did reach on a hit by pitch in the first. 2 for 9 this weekend. That ball thrown behind him. Rockets over to Bart. He can't retrieve. Both runners advance.
I think Joey Bart had eyes on throwing that ball down to third base to try and get Zach Cone. He tried to scoop it. I'm not sure that he had much of a shot, but watch him. He's turning and wheeling. I think he was going to fire it down.
I think Cone got a good break throw. Second and third now, and a 1-0 count for Miller. Up the middle and through. Max Miller with another clutch hit for the Blue Devils, and they stretch out the lead to 10-2.
I tell you what, there's not many better feelings as a hitter than getting a hit when the guy in front of you gets intentionally walked. It's kind of like a take that to the other team. Lines it up the middle. Is able to score Cone and Conine. And this Duke team extends its lead back to 8.
Duke 4 for 7 today with runners in scoring position and 6 for 11 with 2 outs. Chris Crabtree's 0 for 2, the lefty versus the righty Lee. Duke taking his frustrations out on the Yellow Jackets following that 20-7 demolition yesterday. Hits 11-4 in favor of Duke. Off the plate outside, it's 2-0. Duke set the tone in the first inning. They loaded the bases with 2 outs. Got a 2 RBI single from Loperfido. That's something that Chris Pollard praised in his team last series versus North Carolina. Their approach with 2 outs, 2 strikes. Tapping into that in the finale here as the count moves to 3-1. Former Appalachian State head coach before taking the post in Durham. Almost reached a super regional with Appalachian State back in 2012. Cut out and missed, count gone full. And were thwarted by Oklahoma in the Charlottesville regional. Would have faced South Carolina, the 2-time defending national champions in the Supers, had they advanced. Miller will be off on the pitch. The 3-2 from Lee is smoked into left. Another base hit with Miller in motion. He's able to take third.
Jake Lee has not been poor for the Jackets. He's made this Duke team put the ball in play, but they have certainly been up to the task. Just goes the other way with this one. A line drive past Austin Wilhite. As you said, runner moving, able to motor into third. That's going to be it for Lee.
Looked like it wanted the back door, hung it too much, and Cramphree delivers his 3rd hit of the season. Danny Hall comes out. And we'll have a pitching change in the top of the 6th. Getting away from the Yellow Jackets. They've already claimed the series, but in a position with their NCAA tournament resume to not be choosy when it comes to wins. Robert Winborn, your new Yellow Jacket arm, will give you his numbers next. Junior Robert Winborn comes on in relief of Lee. 19th appearance and a 4.6 ERA. Low arm slot. Trying to prevent this 6th inning from mushrooming into even more for the Blue Devils, who have already scored 2.
Yeah, his job is just to keep this Blue Devils team exactly where they are. Robert Winborn pitches a ton for this Georgia Tech team, making his 19th appearance on the season. 4.60 ERA. He's often asked to come in for short stints. Just a third of an inning pitched in his last outing, an inning before that, a third of an inning before that. Because of that arm slot, it makes it really tough on right-handed hitters, but he's able to start to get some outs. Danny Hall will be more than happy to let him stay in if he's able to steady the ship against a Duke team that has taken advantage of some Georgia Tech mistakes, but against Jake Lee, I mean, he challenged them, made them hit the baseball, and they were more than up to the task. They have been fantastic with 2 outs. See a 4.06 ERA in the series. Georgia Tech hadn't been too bad either. A lot of that coming yesterday in the big win.
All 3 of the Blue Devils' hits this inning have come with 2 down. Lebowski hitless in 2 plate appearances, has walked. At the corners and 2 away as Winborn pumps it in inside. Lebowski with an interesting athletic backstory. Mom and Dad both ran track at Kansas. His mom was a heptathlete. Watch out, that brushes him away. Mom was a heptathlete at Kansas. Dad was a former national champion javelin thrower. So if you wonder where he got his throwing aptitude from, probably his dad, but a little bit different instrument.
Yeah.
Less sharp of an instrument, I might add, as well.
Exactly.
Fouls it back, 2-1.
How often do you see that? You know, you get a guy whose parents both competed at a high level. She said his 2 parents in track and field, but an athleticism transfers down, and you know, a guy that ends up playing in college in a different sport.
Jumps out the 2-1 and launches it foul. On the NCBWA midseason stopper of the year watch list. You get to see action on the mound this weekend. The 2-2 serves this into right center. Down for another base hit. Make it 11-2 Blue Devils. We'll see if they wave Crabtree. He'll coast into third. And another 2-out RBI for the Blue Devils.
Third consecutive single for Duke. Plating yet another run. And a lot of them going the opposite field. Something that's impressive with a team when you see that consistent approach and his excellent coaching by this Duke staff. An excellent discipline by Duke. As this is a game where you really wanted to see a response from this Duke team, and they have absolutely come through, giving you everything that you wanted and more.
It's not going to wipe out the series loss, but at least shows what kind of resilience you have heading into the postseason.
Yeah, and I think it washes some of that bad taste out of your mouth as well. Like I said, you know, you can kind of chalk up the last two losses and to weird circumstances. You can look at those two and say, hey, look, that wasn't us. We didn't put our best foot forward. We had to overcome some adversity, weren't quite able to do it. But let's go out on a good note. They're going to be able to go into the ACC tournament feeling pretty good about themselves.
As it being 17-11 in the ACC isn't reason enough to feel good. Taylor has felt good all weekend. A single today, 2 home runs on Thursday, and a chance to drive in some more. 1-2 pitch, sent foul. Off the plate from Winborn, 2-2. Have to almost have an opposite field approach if you're a right-hander, given the way that ball travels from Winborn.
You're exactly right, and that's a discipline thing. You almost have to treat him like a lefty. That ball can just go in and kind of sweep away from you.
Chopped along third. Serrato's long way across. Tough pick, but a nice stab by McCann. Might have prevented another run from crossing home. But Duke has 3 cross on 4 hits. Bottom of the 6th. And it's up to a 9-run lead for the Blue Devils. Duke Tech's on 3 more to make it 11-2 as we head to the bottom of the 6th. Georgia Tech putting the finishing touches on another power-laden regular season. 66 home runs, which is 3rd most in the ACC. They've gotten 4 this series, including Joey Barr with his team leading 16th yesterday. And lo and behold, leading off the Jacket 6th, the junior from Buford, Georgia.
I think maybe the most impressive thing about that graphic is that 13 players have hit at least 1 home run. Joey Bart, Kyle McCann, the next 2 guys that you'll see. Certainly the biggest part of that with 16 and 15 respectively.
Up among the ACC leaders, facing Jarvis, who struck him out their first encounter, and he deals strike 1 to Bart. Duke had a season-high 4 home runs in Game 1. Georgia Tech launched 4 yesterday, and 2 home runs, both from Griffin Conine today. Off the plate, 1-1. This Duke staff has allowed the fewest home runs in the ACC. Cut on and missed. And with his delivery, you can tell how tough it is to pick up the pitch out of Jarvis's hands.
Yeah, and you've seen that with these Georgia Tech hitters since he's come into the game. The exception of that first inning, the Kyle McCann single that scored a couple runs. He's really kept these guys off balance, but really snaps the ball through the zone. And everything looks the same. You know, there's no change in arm slot. There's no change in arm speed when the off-speed pitch comes. He's been very impressive in this outing.
And the 2-2 to Bart. Down and in. Bart followed by McCann, and DH spot scheduled to be English here in the Tech 6th. Blue Devils a chance to tie their school record for wins in a season today. 11-2 they lead, the payoff, and it's fisted foul by Bart.
When you look at the top part of this lineup, only one hit between Bailey, Murray, and Bart for Georgia Tech. Kyle McCann has one as well. If you go down to the 4-hole, much different story than we saw yesterday, where Bailey was 3 for 6, and both Murray and Bart had double-digit home runs. Double-digit hits. Not double-digit hit, multiple hits, excuse me. I'm all over the place right now, Andy. But Kyle McCann was 4 for 5. The top part of this lineup is the key for Georgia Tech, and going forward is going to be, and if any pitching staff is able to kind of control them like Duke has done today, it's going to be really tough for Georgia Tech to win games.
Skied down the line, Conine hustling after it, and that ball lands in the Duke bullpen foul. Considering that was hit more towards the hands, it was a long distance that Joey Bart sent it.
That's the power this guy has. One of the most impressive players in the country, and as you'd expect, we've seen some, of course, of his career. You and I have had the fortune of calling a number of his games. We've seen some impressive feats. That home run yesterday, though, has to be amongst the top. Although he hit a home run earlier this year that I still have not seen land. Like, I never actually saw it land. It might still be in the sky somewhere.
What game was that?
I believe it was during the Miami series, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. But it was an absolute moonshot.
Another payoff pitch to Bart. Man, he stays alive again.
I've gotten some help from the truck. It was the Virginia Tech series. They knew exactly what I was talking about.
Had a home run all 3 games of that series. 10th pitch of the at-bat coming up. See what Jarvis dials up. Trying to make it back-to-back strikeouts against Bartz. We'll have an 11th pitch. Nice pick down in the third base box. We salute defense played not only by the players, coaches, fans, anywhere inside Russ Chandler Stadium. Deserves to be saluted. Again, the 3-2, and it skips in the dirt. Bart grinds it out. A dozen pitches, but he reaches on Jarvis.
Really good at bat by Joey Bart. Grinding it out. Able to foul off pitches and able to work his way on to first base. And for Georgia Tech, it starts with one. Starts with one base runner and ultimately one run. As you see what's typically the Sunday tradition for Kyle McCann, the overhead clap for the gospel music. Getting on Saturday this week.
Imbued with the Holy Spirit on a Saturday at Russ Chandler Stadium. McCann responsible for the Yellow Jackets' 2 runs. That bases-loaded RBI single off Jarvis in the third. Went 4 for 5 yesterday with 3 RBIs. Likely to take over catching duties from Bart next year. Certainly has the home run power to take over for Bart as well. Another one in the dirt from Jarvis, 2-0.
It was fun to see Kyle McCann yesterday. Kyle McCann ties Joey Bart for the team lead in home runs. And Joey Bart, less than 20 minutes later, hits the monster shot that we saw. And when Joey got to home plate, he said some words to Kyle McCann that made Kyle smile and kind of shove him a little bit in a playful, come on, man, kind of way. Definitely some competition there in the home run derby, the home run lead.
Which, look, of all of Joey Bart's feats this year, that might have been the most impressive because Kyle McCann is as stoic a guy between the lines as you will find in the ACC. Ahead on Jarvis 3-0, following the Bart walk to lead off the 6th. Misses down. Back-to-back base on balls against the heart of the Georgia Tech order. First and second, nobody away for Tristan English. Graduate student Ethan DeCaster starting to get loose in the Duke bullpen. Blue Devils playing with a 9-run cushion. There's DeCaster, transfer from Creighton. And a minuscule .68 ERA across 20 appearances for him. How good has Duke's bullpen been? They're undefeated this year when leading after 6 innings, 29-0.
That's pretty good. Jarvis approaching his career long for appearances. He's gone 3 innings twice, trying to make it a 4th time. He's able to record 1 more out. He'll tie that. Getting towards the top end of what he's done this year in terms of length and appearance, and he's not going to get there as Chris Pollard's going to make his way out.
Proctor stalled for the Duke head coach. And in front of Tristan English, and after back-to-back walks to begin the 6th, the hook forthcoming for the freshman Jarvis, who by and large acquitted himself well. Did give up that 2-run single to McCann in the 3rd. Runners were inherited. And retired 5 straight before the walk to Bart to begin this inning. I think the conventional belief, Roddy, is that the top 6 teams in the ACC are all locks for the NCAA tournament. Miami, Georgia Tech still fighting for at-large consideration, and that'll be really interesting in that selection room. The case of the Miami Hurricanes. They have a better ACC record than Georgia Tech does. They don't have as good an overall one-loss record. They have some more mediocre non-conference losses, and Georgia Tech swept the Hurricanes in the regular season. A lot to debate. Was not up for debate. How tidy this man's ERA is. We'll tell you about Ethan DeCaster coming up. New Duke pitcher, his first year in the program, but a proven commodity, Ethan DeCaster, the graduate student. Get a load of those numbers. A .6 ERA across 40 innings and a 42 strikeout, 4-walk ratio. That'll get it done.
Certainly will. You said it. I mean, this is like getting a 5-star recruit in that's already played at a high level. When he came over from Creighton the year before, he sported a 1.77 ERA in 24 appearances. All he did was decrease that by almost a full run. He has been incredibly impressive and a great addition to this Duke bullpen. One of the big reasons why Duke is undefeated after leading after 6 innings, and he's not going to have to hold the Jackets scoreless. See, Jackets have been decent with runners in scoring position. 2 for 5. Duke has been incredible. 5 for 9.
Hard to scratch him across. DeCaster's ERA in league games drops to .38.
It's impressive when you can have a .68 ERA, and in any situation your ERA drops because there's not a lot of room for dropping there.
1 earned run and 25 in the 3rd against ACC hitting. Tristan English stands in. 0 for 1 with a walk. Slings it in up high, 1-0. DeCaster originally hails from Shoreview, Minnesota. English a 3-run homer yesterday. You don't see graduate transfers that often in college baseball. It's been a staple for years now in college basketball. You're seeing it more in college football, but for whatever reason, that has not kind of crept into college baseball yet. To the point where when you do see one, it certainly stands out. Got on and missed, 1-2.
I think one of the big reasons for that is, particularly in college football, with redshirting and guys being in school year-round, basketball as well, baseball players don't stick around for summers. They go off and play in summer leagues, and that doesn't allow them to necessarily get ahead like you see for a lot of the the basketball and football guys that are able to graduate in 3 or 3.5 years, or in football, redshirt guys that end up graduating in normal time and then go elsewhere to play.
And DeCaster did redshirt his first season at Creighton. Was there 4 years, graduated, now enrolled in Duke's School of Business Masters of Management Studies program. English has worked the count even. First and second, nobody away, and the Yellow Jackets sixth. High and outside. I think what also factors in, Roddy, is in baseball, you're draft eligible after your junior year.
Yeah, a lot more rounds. A lot more guys get drafted. Basketball, only 2 rounds. Football, once you declare, you have to go. These baseball guys can get drafted after their junior year, feel it out, and obviously come back. And if they like what they hear, a lot of them are gone.
Swing and a miss, throwing it right at the feet of English. Out number 1.
Right fielder number 5, Colin Hall.
Good off-speed pitch there. The sidearm delivery from DeCaster. Does that slider fall off the table, and Tristan English swings right over the top.
Left-hander Colin Hall, the batter. And what at first glance was a leadoff double in the 4th, but he overslid the bag, and the call was overturned on review. So he was out instead, though he does get credit for the double. Laid in for a strike. 0-1. Tech held to just 4 hits and 2 runs so far. Popped up down the line. Heron races in. 2 outs.
Seen here in the first couple of batters what has made DeCaster so good, the ability to mix up speeds. See the stats hitting with 2 outs. Georgia Tech has been not quite as good as the Blue Devils. As you get a look at Luke Waddell, who's going to pinch hit for Oscar Serratos. Excuse me, for Austin Wilhite here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Get a left-handed bat in there. Will likely go out to take Wilhite's place at shortstop, which he did at the end of the game yesterday as well.
Waddell's been in and out of the lineup the last month or so because of some leg trouble. Bounces that through on the first pitch past the dive of Miller. Hart comes around and scores. Luke Waddell wasting no time with the pinch hit RBI, and it's 11-3.
When you need a spark, call on one of your guys from the bench, and he pays you back. Ground ball up the middle, through the hole, and Joey Bart motoring around to score to start chipping away at this deficit.
Waddell's 4th ACC RBI. As a pinch hitter this year, he's been solid. Gives way to fellow freshman Oscar Serratos, who took over for him at third base when he strained his calf rounding the bases versus Miami in the series opener. That occurred last month. And Serratos has seized the opportunity. 368 versus ACC pitching coming in, which leads the Yellow Jackets. Clips the inside corner, 0-2. And a run will be charged to Jarvis. He's also responsible for McCann at third. And the 0-2 is fought off.
Serratos at the beginning of the year, kind of a platoon guy, and I'm interested to see what the ACC coaches, you brought this up a couple of times, what the ACC coaches do in terms of voting for all ACC, the freshman team, what they do with Oscar Serratos.
Just gets the end of the bat on that sweeping breaker from DeCaster to stay alive. Well, you have to not only factor in time of service, how often you've been inserted in the lineup, but let's not forget, this is a stacked league talent-wise. So there are a lot of also talented freshmen elsewhere in the conference. Sometimes hard to break that gridlock. And as the pitch is rolled out to short, Cone on the run, fires across to get Serratos for out number 3. But it was another freshman, Luke Waddell, drives in a run on this single back up the middle. 11-3, Duke in front, on to the 7th in Atlanta. Andy Demetra, Roddy Jones, who moved to the 7th at Russ Chandler Stadium. Duke leads 11-3. The Blue Devils led 3-0 in Thursday's game and Friday's game. Led 5-0 out of the chute. This lead seems like it'll stick. It all started with Griffin Conines over the batter's eye, 2-run homer. He'd have another home run later. Kyle McCann got the Yellow Jackets on the board with the bases loaded single in the 3rd. And then Max Miller coming through for the Blue Devils after they intentionally walked Conine in the 6th. Blue Devils played at 3 in the 6th inning. And a new pitcher, Ben Schneider-Jans, one of Yellow Jackets' seniors on senior day, gets an appearance.
I tell you what, Ben Schneider-Jans' dad fired a strike when the parents got out there and did the ceremonial first pitch. Great to see some of these seniors getting some action. Schneider-Jans, a 5th-year senior in Powder Springs, Georgia, Harrison High School. Last appeared on April 11th against Georgia State, where he went 1 inning, gave up 2 runs. But a guy who has been a big part of this team, part of quite a lineage of Georgia Tech student athletes. Him doing it in baseball, his brother's doing it in golf, but Ben Schneider-Jans getting a chance to pitch in front of the hometown crowd for one more time.
Faces the DH Michael Rothenberg to lead off the 7th. Slapped foul by Rothenberg, who singled and scored today, 1 for 3 overall. I mentioned his brother Ollie Schneider-Jans, a standout golfer at Georgia Tech, now playing professionally. Luke Waddell, who hit that pinch hit single for the Jackets in the 6th, takes over for Austin Wilhite at short. Now 1-2. It's good to see those guys, the seniors, especially the guys who've been more lightly used, get one last chance to dig in the box or toe the rubber. Because their statistics, and you know this having played, Roddy, it in no way reflects their contributions and their dedication to the program over their 4 years. As Rothenberg swings and misses for strike 3.
Let's say, as much as the guys like Joey Bart and Wade Bailey, Kyle McCann get the headlines, it's guys like Ben Schneider-Jans, the guys that fill out the roster, that pitch for you during the week, give these guys a look. In other sports, it's the scout team guys. Those guys put in just as much work as the starters do. And honestly, they don't have the upside of looking forward to the weekend and going out and hit most times or come out and pitch. So it's just really impressive when you get a guy, and it's a great reward to be able to come out on senior day and pitch. Although, obviously these Georgia Tech players would like it to be 11-3 the other way, but still, it's something that he'll certainly remember.
2-1 to Heron. Heron has reached twice today. First-round draft pick by the Yankees last year as a draft-eligible sophomore as he pops this up into foul territory. Long run for Hall, reaches out, makes the basket catch on the dead run in foul ground. Sold out for it, and the freshman able to snare it to retire Heron.
And he knew it late. You could hear him call out mine really late in that run. Great job of making that play. That was one heck of a sprint for Colin Hall to get over there, over into foul territory, short right field. What a great job by him.
Chris Proctor stands in, takes a strike on the outside corner, and for a guy whose ERA is in double digits, Ben Schneider-Jans has pitched very assertively, pounding the zone.
You were mentioning the postseason considerations last inning between Miami and Georgia Tech. In your mind, how much does the sweep of Georgia Tech's sweep of Miami, how much does that play in to the decision that's going to be made?
I think it's huge. I really do. Because you're comparing resumes, and Georgia Tech also has the higher RPI right now than Miami. You have to remove all sentimentality from the selection committee, and I know this is Jim Morris's farewell season in Coral Gables, and for a guy who's a Hall of Famer and one of the all-time winningest coaches in college baseball, the temptation is you don't want to deny him an at-large spot in his final year, but the fact Georgia Tech has swept Miami, the fact they have a higher RPI, I think that might give you a little wiggle room, even if Miami winds up with more ACC wins overall than the Yellow Jackets. The 3-1 to Proctor in the zone, 3-2.
I agree with you. I think ultimately the truest test of who deserves to be in is on the field.
Head-to-head.
And if you're not able to muster it up on a particular weekend and you end up in a head-to-head battle for consideration against the team that you had a bad weekend against.
Proctor goes chasing. Ben Schneider-Jans, the senior, bookends the seventh with strikeouts. Well done by the senior. Time to stretch at Russ Chandler Stadium. Yeah, stretching takes all different forms, doesn't it? 11-3 Blue Devils. Oh, here you go, Roddy. Our last one of the year.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Oh, great.
Give me a second or two to set this up, okay? I won't. No, I won't. I promise. Bottom of the seventh at Russ Chandler Stadium. 11-3 Duke leads. 9-1-2 due up for the Yellow Jackets. Bottom of the seventh, which means, Roddy, we have come upon our final seventh inning trivia question of the season. You've been a great sport all season. We'll see if we can't end the season on a winning note. Here's our trivia for today. Which former Georgia Tech player recorded his first career hit versus Duke April 3rd, 2010?
Well, I guess this is a needle in a haystack question. I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna just start to think of some players that we had during that time.
Can I give you a hint?
Sure.
Which former Georgia Tech player recorded his only career hit?
Oh,
versus
that
Duke
me?
April 3rd,
oh,
2010.
Yeah, 1 for 8 in my career, baby.
So Roddy Jones' answer is Roddy
That's
Jones.
me.
What you're
Yeah,
saying. All right,
yeah.
well, we'll reveal the answer after the first batter, which is sophomore Nick Wilhite.
Let's see. It was either me or one of the freshmen that we had that year. I don't know who was on that team. Evan Martin had a few hits. He wasn't a freshman. He was close to mine. I don't know.
High bouncer Lebowski has to wait on it, unloads and retires Wilhite. Tricky play. Lebowski made it look smooth. One away. Who had that first career hit against the Blue Devils? April 3rd of 2010. Let's find out our answer. This guy right here, Roddy Jones.
That's funny. I had no idea. How did you find that?
I would have been really embarrassed for you if you did not get it.
Oh, there was no way I was going to get it.
You made me nervous. That's why I had to drop the hint.
No, there was absolutely no way I was going to get that. There was absolutely no way. I couldn't have told you who my first hit was.
That would have been the
only hit of my career at Georgia Tech.
A low point of your broadcasting career if you couldn't get the answer to the trivia question about yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Wade Bailey off the glove of Crabtree. Hustles, flips to Castor. Wins the foot race, 2 outs.
When you had as an illustrious baseball career as I did here at Georgia Tech, it's tough. It's tough to remember when all your milestones happen, especially when you can't remember if you had any milestones.
Would it be too much to ask you to reminisce about that first hit? Do you remember the circumstances?
I remember it was late in the game. We were up by a decent amount. It was a single to left center field. I don't remember it being all that well hit. But I was fortunate that Coach Hall let me get in at bat and was able to get a hit. I think I came around to score, too. I can't remember that much, though. It was dark. I do remember that.
Okay. The lights were on, right?
Mm-hmm. The lights were on.
In tight to Chase Murray.
You know, but baseball's funny like that. I think back to the time I played baseball career, and there's very few moments that I remember. I can tell you everything about just about every football game that I played in, but I remember very little. I remember the guys I played with. That's probably the biggest thing. But other than that, I don't remember a ton about my baseball career. And it's not because I liked one more than the other. It's just that I guess it's just a different sport, you know, that this is a different way you process things.
Far more games.
That's true.
Swing and a miss to even the count on Murray. Well, you had me sweating, though.
Yeah, I mean,
you were close to not guessing that answer correctly.
I think you could actually count me as not getting it right. I mean, you basically tossed it up to me. Basically handed me the answer.
Well, we appreciate you being a good sport. We appreciate all of you watching all season long on ACC Network Extra. Trying to guess along with us.
I'm pretty impressed that you found that. I'm trying to think how you would have. Can't be at the top of the Georgia Tech media guide.
You know, time and a high-speed internet connection.
There you go.
You can find out almost anything.
There you go.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Murray as DeCastro digs in. Gets an inside target from Proctor and is punched foul by Murray. 0 for 3 today for the man who ranks second in the ACC in batting average. Joey Bart behind him, hitless in 2 plate appearances, but he was 10 points ahead of Murray entering the day. And so Joey Bart, barring Kyle Datris of North Carolina going off, will likely be your ACC batting average champion. Up and in, 3-2. For Joey Bart to be an ACC batting champion, on top of all the games he's caught this year. It's remarkable, his productivity, not only behind the plate, his longevity and durability there, but his consistency at the plate. Payoff pitch to Chase Murray. Off the hands and behind our heads.
How often have you seen a catcher lead the league in batting? And much less a guy that, as you said, catches day in and day out. You know, a lot of these guys won't catch in a midweek game or will get a Saturday or a Sunday off. Joey Bart catches all the time, and Chase Murray has certainly given him a run for his money.
Swings and misses. DeCaster in through the back door, rings up Murray, and sets down the Yellow Jackets 1-2-3 in the 7th. Regular season reaching its conclusion at Russ Chandler Stadium. Duke down 0-2 in the series, up 8 as we head to the 8th. Middle of the Blue Devil order due up in the 8th, 11-3 Duke, and with the postseason around the corner, both teams want to make sure their bullpens are as fresh as possible, and for that reason, Danny Hall calling upon Cameron Turley to make his first appearance of the season. He'll still have Joey Bart behind the plate. Major League Draft is next month, and here's where several services project Joey Bart to get picked as high as number 2 to the Giants. He might be seeking an eventual successor to Buster Posey. ESPN has him going number 4 to the White Sox. Some thought that he might slip to number 6. Detroit Tigers executives were in the building here Thursday to watch him, albeit in a game delayed by rain. They have the number 1 pick. Highest draft choice ever from Georgia Tech baseball was Kevin Brown, number 4 in 1986. Could Joey Bart surpass that in a few weeks' time? Cameron Turley, right-hander, gets his first appearance of his Yellow Jacket career. Caught the final innings yesterday.
What an opportunity for him. Get an opportunity to catch a little bit in the series and then come out and pitch a little bit as well. Say a guy that's a two-way guy. In a situation like this, he's going to be asked to come out and throw strikes as his pitchers were last night. Love it when you get the catcher-pitcher combination in a player. It's always a fun one.
He's ranked as high as the number all overall catcher in the state of Georgia in the class of 2017. Also a high school quarterback at Mill Creek High School just outside of Atlanta. Zach Cohn, the batter. 3 hits today for him, including a double. And 3 runs scored. 11 runs, 13 hits for the Blue Devils. 3 runs, 5 hits for the Yellow Jackets. 1 hopper to Bailey. And 1 out. You don't often see those two-way guys who are pitchers and catchers.
Right fielder number 9.
I'd say that's probably the most rare combination of guys that both of guys that both play the field and pitch. Both positions are so specialized nowadays. Typically, you get a lot of these pitchers, and when they get to college, they only pitch. And catchers, because of the skill that it takes and honestly the pounding that it requires on your body, a lot of the guys who catch, even the ones with strong arms, kind of get pushed out of pitching for one reason or another, either lack of another catcher or just not being able to maintain that level. You don't typically see catchers come out and pitch in the same day, so in high school, coaches tend to shy away from it.
3 balls, no strikes to Conine. Was reached all 4 times today, hit by a pitch in the first, a 3-run homer in the second, the 2-run homer in the fourth, was intentionally walked and scored in the sixth, and the 3-0 from the freshman Turley. Grooves it down the middle, takes on, was on. Conine with 3 home runs this weekend, following 2 versus North Carolina last weekend. All but 3 of his home runs this year have been in ACC play as he drops the bat and takes the walk.
Five at bats, 5 times. Conine has been on base. He has come around to score each of the other 4. Twice on home runs, of course, so he got the go straight to home card on that one. Got to pass first base, collect $200, and keep on moving.
Here's Max Miller. Drove in a pair with a single his last at-bat. Fouled off. Miller, a senior, Ponte Vedra, Florida. Committed the first error of the season for him yesterday, and that has to please Chris Pollard as we play in the top of the 8th. No errors by the Blue Devils after 6 in the first 2 games. Couldn't hold up his swing chasing the high heater, 1 and 2. Duke was 3rd nationally in fielding percentage. 4 errors on Thursday, and then 2 more yesterday. Turley fires the 1-2 in the dirt and blocked by Bart. "17 ACC wins, already a Duke school record. Can tack on an 18th today. 6 outs away from accomplishing that in an 8-run lead. Swing and a miss. A strikeout for Miller. Well, for a guy who's making his first career appearance, totally seems up for it.
Hey, looks good. That was like a cutter. Let's get another look at that. Yeah, just running off the edge of the plate. Cut fastball. Away from the right-handed hitter, and Miller swings right through it.
Man on, 2 out now for Crabtree. Bangs it foul off the plate. Crabtree, 1 for 3. You can understand the decision by Danny Hall. Wants to make sure that bullpen is as rested as possible. Haven't seen Tristan English today. He has normally been their Game 3 starter. Brand Herter got the starting assignment this afternoon.
It'll be interesting to see what Danny Hall does for the ACC tournament. You see with Duke with runners on in games 1 and 2, 211, 500 today with runners on base. But it'll be interesting to see what Danny Hall does. He'll have Tristan English available on Tuesday if he would like to go that route. Xavier Curry, Connor Thomas as well. Would guess that it's going to be the regular rotation. You get Thomas and Curry for the first 2 games, but then you go Herter or English. English to be obviously a little more rested. But decided to go with Herter there today. And then the question is, you're in a pool with Clemson. Who do you match up against them? Does it matter? Do you prefer to go with Thomas, who's been hotter? If you draw Clemson first, do you just stay with the regular rotation? It'll be interesting to see.
Thomas only lasted 5 innings yesterday. Among his shorter outings of the season, he allowed 3 earned runs, only 82 pitches, though, and he's a guy who is pretty durable with his delivery. Might be too much to ask for him to come back around on such short notice, but he didn't get extended the way he typically does. Remains a ball and 2 strikes to Crabtree. And the dirt 2-2. And that is the big mystery for the Yellow Jackets beginning on Thursday. And it'll continue through the ACC tournament. What is enough in the eyes of the NCAA selection committee? High and outside, 3-2.
I think Duke will be asking themselves that in a lot of ways as well. Certainly a lock to make the tournament, but in terms of hosting, what's enough? And do they, at this point, do they have to win a game, 2 games, make it to a semifinal? Certainly if they win the ACC, they'll host. But you know, with a strong finish, honestly a pretty packed pool geographically around them. You're going to get North Carolina in play, NC State, Clemson. There's probably a lock to host as well.
You could have North Carolina, NC State, Duke all hosting regionals. Another 3-2 from Turley. It's wrapped into right. Base hit for Crabtree. Oh, and it's misplayed by Hall. Rolls behind him. It'll enable Conine to score. First error of the day enables Duke to plate the run. Crabtree with his first RBI of the season, and it's now 12-3.
Conine scores yet again. This time, Colin Hall just has it skip off the heel of his glove, and Conine, who was moving on the pitch, motored around second, motored around third, and cruised on into home.
Crabtree fired up, but he's not going to get credit for the RBI because on that conventional single wouldn't have been enough to score Conine without the benefit of the air. But that third out continues to be a handful for the Yellow Jackets to get today. Duke now 9 of 16 with 2 outs. Jack Lebowski's 1 for 3.
And those third out woes have been consistent all game. And to start the game, Brant Herter retired the first two. And after those two batters were out, you had a single, a hit by pitch, another hit by pitch, and then a single to bring around those two runs. It has been really, really tough. The home run, Griffin Conine's first in the second inning, came with 2 outs. It's been really difficult for the Jackets to get out of innings consistently.
Hot shot right to Waddell. But another run on the board for the Blue Devils on 1 hit, 1 error, 1 left on, 7.5 complete. Regular season finale in Atlanta. Duke up big. 9 of Duke's 12 runs today have been plated with 2 outs. 12-3 Blue Devils lead as they look to salvage a game from this season-ending series against the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. Griffin Conine has been in the thick of it. 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 5 runs scored for the junior, who's reached base in all 5 plate appearances.
Well, if there's one consistent in this game, it's that Griffin Conine. He comes up and gets on base, he's going to score. He's been exciting to watch. And you see, look, 25 home runs the past 2 seasons. And the longest home run in college baseball this season, 497 feet, as Joey Bart just took his helmet off, tipped it to the crowd as they are giving him a standing ovation in what is likely his last at-bat here at Rush Chandler Stadium.
A junior from Buford, Georgia, projected to go in the top 5 of the Major League Draft. Putting together an All-American season, ACC Player of the Year type season. Searching for his first hit today, facing DeCaster. And he starts off 1-0. Considered signing out of high school from Buford, Georgia. And that decision to enroll at Georgia Tech has paid off handsomely. DeCaster with that minuscule .3 ERA in ACC play, behind now 2-0.
What a moment. Good for these Georgia Tech fans, recognizing obviously the career that Joey Bart has had and what the future holds for him in terms of being drafted highly. And although he didn't go through the senior day festivities, that's a moment that young man will certainly remember for the rest of his life.
2 balls and a strike. Walked and scored to lead off the 6th. Trying to extend his hitting streak to 11 games. Here's the 2-1. Up high again. Can we see one last blast from Joey Bart as the 3-1 comes in from DeCaster, and it's upstairs. A walk for Joey Bart in what will likely be his final plate appearance at home as a Yellow Jacket. No surprise, his final at-bat at home, he reaches base. Let's take a look at those draft projections once more for Joey Bart. This is what awaits him. He'll be pinch hit for. So before we show you the projections, I think we need to turn the sound up here and listen to this ovation for Bart. Hugs all around, including from his head coach. A sensational season, a sensational Georgia Tech career winding down at Rush Chandler Stadium for Joey Bart.
Such a cool moment. Obviously, when you have a player the magnitude of Joey Bart, just an awesome, classy move by Coach Hall, letting him come up to the plate to have his moment, and then after the walk, giving him another moment, giving these Georgia Tech fans another opportunity to show their appreciation for what he has given them the last 3 years.
Danny Hall has coached several Major League catchers. Mike Nikias, who's on his staff currently. Matt Wieters, Jason Varitek, and the next in line, Joey Bart. A foul off the plate makes it 1 ball, 2 strikes on McCann. Scored 2 runs with an RBI single in the third. Joey Bard, normally a stoic customer down in that catching gear, but surely some emotion churning through him inside that Yellow Jacket dugout. Michael Goldberg, the pinch runner for him at first. DeCaster deals the 1-2. Bounced into the Duke dugout. Nice bare hand pick inside there by Erickson Nichols.
That's the best play I've seen all day.
Hey, look, when you're third in the nation in fielding percentage, you don't just think they can pick it in between the lines.
Oh, man. With the bare hand?
Off the plate, 2-2. See if we caught that. Sharp grounder. Look at that. Boom.
Clint with the excellent camera work up here with us.
Hammered foul by McCann. I also appreciate that.
This guy.
Got to acknowledge our camera operators who've done such fine work for us throughout the spring. Capturing all the highlights here at Russ Chandler Stadium. Cal McCann has been responsible for several of those in a battle with DeCaster. Inside, count's gone full. DeCaster in 25 and a third innings in ACC play has only walked 2. Walked Bart, in danger of walking McCann to begin the 8th. Fouls it away with Goldberg in motion. Another 3-2, waved down and missed. Goldberg swiped second, but the strikeout of McCann for the first out of the 8th.
It's an excellent pitch. That back foot breaking ball. It starts at the knees on the inside corner, breaks to the back foot. Kyle McCann, so tough to hit for a lefty. So that one ends up, and it's actually a little bit higher than the back foot, but the premise is still the same, and it is tough to get the barrel down to hit that baseball.
Runner in scoring position, 1 away now for English. Tristan English is 0 for 2. A homer yesterday for his 6th of the season. 59 RBIs for the redshirt sophomore, tied for the ACC lead. He could be your ACC RBI champion. He was ready to toss the bat, thinking it might graze him. Wound up whizzing by him, but he'll be ahead 2-0.
Should have lobbied for it like Nick Wilhite did earlier in the game.
You notice that the replay reviews have kind of cut down on the salesmanship?
It's true, yeah.
On plays like that?
Take some of the fun out of the game. You get a guy like Jeter was great at it. Would spin away from pitches and then lobby to the umpire that had hit him or grazed him, show him a mark that had probably been there for a week.
High fly out of play. English tied for the ACC lead with those 59 RBIs. Has Goldberg at second. Chance to take the lead and maybe finish the regular season as the ACC RBI champion. Goldberg there, the freshman from Marietta, Georgia. Counted 2-1. Waved down and missed. DeCaster already had the numbers when he enrolled at Duke as a graduate transfer. He's been even better in his final season. He fires the 2-2 to English, sticks it on the outside corner, strike three.
Couldn't have handed the ball the catcher in a better spot than DeCaster threw it just then.
Well, this is our last broadcast of the regular season at Georgia Tech here on ACC Network Extra. We'd be remiss if we didn't salute all of our great camera operators. Hi, Blaine. These guys are out there, rain or shine, hot weather, cold weather, capturing all the images for us, and we couldn't do this job without them. They are fantastic. They are the unsung heroes of this telecast, and we certainly tip our cap to them. Thanking them is just still never enough for all that they give to us on ACC Network Extra. DeCaster comes out, new Duke pitcher coming in with Colin Hall due up. 12-3 Duke here in the bottom of the eighth. And it's going to be the closer, Jack Lebowski. First time we'll glimpse him on the mound this weekend. I'll tell you about him next. Not a save situation, but Jack Lebowski going to get some work here to close out the regular season. Duke's all-time saves leader, 9 more. He's got 17 in his Duke career and a .30 ERA across 29 2/3. Are you kidding me?
It took me a second to see if that was a typo. I had to consult our stats as well, because anytime you see that many innings and that ERA, it is just it is impressive. And we knew we were going to see Lebowski at some point, either in a save situation or to get some work. It is the latter here for Duke, as they have the game well in hand, but Lebowski will still come in to shut the door on the Jackets.
DeCaster and Lebowski are the tandem you often see in these late high-leverage situations for the Blue Devils. Those two combined have only yielded 4 earned runs this season. DeCaster at .68, Lebowski at .30. DeCaster responsible for the runner at second. After walking Bart, he's since given way to the freshman Michael Goldberg as a pinch runner, and here's Colin Hall. 1 for 3, though he overslid the bag on a double back to lead off the fourth and was tagged out. Still counted as a double for Hall, his 4th hit of the weekend, and trying to pick up his 4th RBI versus Duke. All Blue Devils, though, in the series finale. Pops him up. Taylor drifts over, and Lebowski does his job. Keeps the Jackets off the board. Textrans 1, on to the 9th, 12-3 Duke. All Duke today, 12-3 over Georgia Tech. Has to feel good for the Blue Devils following that 20-7 pounding they suffered to the Yellow Jackets yesterday. ACC baseball standings look like this. North Carolina State outlasted Florida State 5-3 today. North Carolina already clinched the Coastal Division. Georgia Tech trying to avoid a 14-16 end to the regular season. You love, just for history, to be 500 in a conference like the ACC for your NCAA tournament aspirations, but a strong finish nonetheless for the Yellow Jackets, and a new pitcher to begin the 9th, the right-hander Bailey Combs.
Making his 11th appearance on the season. Another one of these guys that hasn't gotten a ton of work for the Jackets, but opportunity here. We also have a new catcher, Jamie Taylor, behind the plate. But the story of this game is on the other side of the guys wearing blue. It's a good day, as you said. It's a good day to be a Duke. I guess it's only appropriate on Royal Wedding Day that Duke wins.
Especially if you're officially anointed the, Duke of Sussex?
Duke of Sussex,
Prince Harry? All right. So you can tell I was enthralled with the footage of my vast knowledge. Taylor into center field. Running catch by Will Height. 1 away. 1 pitch, 1 out for Combs. Erickson Nichols grabs a bat for the first time. He took over as the replacement for Lebowski at third base when Jack Lebowski came on in relief last inning. So he's not getting the call into the field because of that nice barehand pick he made on the bouncer into the Duke dugout.
I don't know. I think Coach Pollard probably looked and said, we need to get that guy in the game. Stops like that.
He typically takes over when Lebowski gets the call out of the bullpen. Singled yesterday in the late innings. Bounced that off his foot. 0-2. Seeds for the ACC tournament will shake out at the end of the day. Georgia Tech will start on Tuesday in Durham. Skips along third, foul. And while I would have loved to take all three from Duke, that's hard enough because Duke, entering this weekend, had only lost back-to-back games once this year. But different vibe, you figure, for the Yellow Jackets heading into the ACC tournament with a series win over Duke versus a series loss. Had they dropped this series, I think their only recourse for getting into the NCAA tournament would have been winning the ACC.
I agree with you. And
I think there's more of a viable path for them to not have to win and put all those eggs in one basket if they still want to get in that large.
Yeah, and even though this one certainly doesn't feel good, especially on senior day, to end the series, this series has been a success for the Jackets. Obviously winning it and getting two quality wins against a quality opponent. Adversity that they overcame on Thursday with the weather delay. It's been good.
To Hopper to Waddell. Snaps that across to get Nichols. 2 up and 2 down in the Blue Devil 8th. Beg your pardon, the 9th.
Right fielder number 30, Jimmy Herron.
One last at bat for Jimmy Herron. Double and a walk for him today. He's got 3 hits for the series. Georgia Tech will have 7, 8, 9 due up in the bottom of the 9th. Duke 3 outs away from recording a tie for the most wins in a season in school history. Hot shot, backhanded Bailey. One last web gem for the senior at home. Stopped on a dime. They smoked it onto first to get the speedy Herron. You've seen it time after time after time. Sterling defense by Bailey as we move to the bottom of the 9th.
Center field. Second one to right, but in addition to that, he got hit by a pitch, came around to score in the first. 2 home runs. That happened in the second and the fourth. Was intentionally walked in the 6th, came around to score. Was walked in the 8th, came around to score. It's about as good as you can do in a day. 2 official at-bats, 5 runs scored for Griffin Conine, 5 RBIs. I think he was one of our more unanimous players of the game all year.
Lebowski stays on for the 9th. He'll face Luke Waddell, who delivered a pinch hit RBI single his first at-bat. Swinging away on the first pitch, and this skips into right just beyond Miller. 2 pitches, 2 swings, 2 base hits for Luke Waddell. They know all about efficiency at an engineering school like Georgia Tech, and Luke Waddell showing it carries over to the plate.
He's he gets all the waste out of his at-bats. Be a 6 Sigma black belt. So we have a pinch hitter here.
That's the senior Patrick Wiseman, who'll get one last at-bat in the home uniform. Senior from Roswell, Georgia. Wiseman this year is 0 for 2, has scored a run.
I'm Patrick Wiseman getting my last at bat at home, maybe the last at bat of my career. I think I'm swinging out of my shoes. Just go for broke here, big fella.
If it looks like cowhide, rip it. Fouls that back, 1-1. One and two. He came in hammering, though.
I like it. There's no time to waste, no reason to waste any time. He's taking a page out of Luke Waddell's book.
Chops this to first. And Crabtree runs over to get rid of Wiseman, one away. An out, but a productive one for Wiseman in his final home at bat.
You advance the runner and get him in scoring position. See if Cole Newber, another pinch hitter, can knock him in.
Got a runner in scoring position, and again, Lebowski in his last appearance gave up an earned run to North Carolina, which snapped a streak of 29 and a third innings to start the year without yielding an earned run. Game no longer in doubt, but you know Lebowski doesn't want to have consecutive appearances with an earned run. Newber 1 for 4 this year. Down the middle, 1-1. Battle effort by the Blue Devils. So they can exit Atlanta with one last win in the regular season. Maybe have them breathing a little easier with respect to their ability to host a regional. Would not have been a good look, especially for a team that's not tucked firmly in the top 10 of the RPI, to have a sweep to go into the postseason. And they will look to avoid that fate today. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Newber, ground ball, deflected. It'll be a foot race, and Lebowski just taps the bag in time. 2 away, but Newber advances Waddell to third.
Good job by Crabtree of scrambling and getting that ball. As now Wade Bailey is going to come up and he's going to get the Joey Bart treatment as he takes his last at bat here at Rush Chandler.
Gets the ovation from his teammates, ovation from the crowd at Rush Chandler Stadium. A man approaching 290 career hits as a Yellow Jacket. One for 4 today. 5 for 11 this weekend. 286 career hits for the senior from Villa Rica, Georgia. Slams it foul behind first. When undrafted last year, Danny Hall catching up with him before the game. Certainly hopes that Wade Bailey will have a chance to continue playing the game.
And I think any team out there that's looking for a guy that's going to be great defensive player, scrappy at the plate, one of the heartbeat of the team type guys, certainly find that in Wade Bailey.
Behind 0-2. .342 average, third best in the ACC behind his teammates Chase Murray, Joey Bart. Bart walked his last plate appearance. What can Bailey do? Final time in that Rush Chandler's batter's box. Swung on and launched. Wade Bailey with the ultimate send-off. A home run. It's not the score he'd like, but you couldn't script that at bat. in any more storybook fashion for Wade Bailey. Saluting the crowd. Touches home. And a big embrace from Joey Bart. What a moment.
You can see the emotion on Wade Bailey's face. Final at bat at Rush Chandler Stadium. A great swing, and you are exactly right. It's a big embrace from his head coach, and wow, what an emotional moment.
Can barely hold back the emotion on the trot around the bases. Wow. Aaron Radcliffe steps in to pinch hit. It's Bailey's second home run of the season.
You're right, Andy. Certainly not the way Georgia Tech wanted to end its regular season, but the ability to send off Joey Bart, and well, that's a storybook ending for Wade Bailey.
And that ground ball squeezes into right for Baron Radcliffe. On we play in the bottom of the ninth. By the way, that home run responsible for 2 earned runs on the ledger of Jack Lebowski. Had only allowed 1 earned run all season. So for Bailey to do it against a guy who had a .30 ERA coming in, but Wade Bailey, 287 career hits. He has made a habit of getting on base no matter the ERA he faces. Jamie Taylor steps in for his first at-bat.
Jack Lebowski's ERA is skyrocketed to .88.
A little ray of sunshine for the Yellow Jackets in their final regular season game headed to the ACC tournament. They'll still take the series 2-1. 14-16 in the ACC. Duke will move to 18-11. A 1-1 to Taylor. Paints the outside corner. Two and two.
Lebowski's obviously a little upset about giving up that home run, but you can see it in his delivery. It might have been the fastest pitch he's thrown all day.
And the count's gone full to Taylor. Maybe it's just not as high leverage a situation as he's accustomed to. Pitching with a 9-run lead. Regardless, following the Bailey home run, gave up the single to Radcliffe, who's behind him at first. Payoff pitch. Stroked to short. Backhanded by Cone. Gathers and fires. That is it. Duke takes the game. Georgia Tech takes the series, and both teams can turn the page to the postseason. Final score from Rush Chandler Stadium, Duke 12, Georgia Tech 5. A school record tying 39th win of the season for the Blue Devils. Georgia Tech closes things down at a mark of 31-25. It's senior day spoiled, but still some special moments for those guys who know they've made their last appearance at Rush Chandler Stadium.